Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage. Football. Oh, it's been a long day.
Do it all
gents. It's
again.
been a day. Welcome to Football Heritage TV. Look at this star-studded lineup from all over the world. And some of us have hair, some of us don't. Some of us are young. I'm not saying me, but some of us are not. Some of us love Archie Gray, some of us don't. But here we are, ready for the Spurs review. Guys, welcome to one and all. I'm just going to take it that you're all okay. I'm not going to find out your life story. I don't want to know how your week's been. But as long as everyone's okay, we'll get going. People in the chat, smash the like button. Please subscribe to everyone in here and, do the right thing. Tonight, we're going to talk about listen, it is European week coming up, and this is it for Spurs now. Whatever we think, that defeat to Manchester City has essentially meant that, barring a miracle, we are not going to get European football via the league. Our only chance of European football next season is going to be winning the Europa League, something we've not done since 1984. Lubo, correct? 1984?
Correct. About time, isn't it?
Good. Just checking my history, just checking that it's all up there. So Spurs will have to win the Europa League. And I want to talk about, guys, one, what are the chances of winning it? Two, who do we want to get? Three, what are the ramifications for Tottenham moving into next season if we don't get European football? Because the whole fan base for me, guys, is talking about winning the Europa League, winning the Europa League. If we don't, the revenue coming in suddenly is a lot lower. We're not in European football anymore. You haven't got 2 games a week to be giving all of these youngsters a game. It changes everything. So let me start. Arian, welcome to the show. It's your first time debuting. I'm sure it's going to be lively for you. Arian, last time we spoke, I think we had a really good debate, me and you, on We Are Tottenham TV, and we disagreed massively about Ange Postecoglou. Since then, how does it feel that I was right? And second of all, just kidding. What do you make of this season so far, Arian? Has Ange and Tottenham, have we failed as a club? 13th in the league, 14 defeats from 27. Where are you at with the whole Tottenham Ange Postecoglou situation?
I don't think anybody is in a good spot this season. I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say it's been a great season, or that anybody in particular has performed well, whether it be Levy, Ange, or any of the players. So it's been disappointing for sure. Like I'm not going to come here and say it's not been disappointing, or that it's been good, or that any of those things. The reality is that we should have had more points in the league than we do. We should be bigger, favorites for the Europa League than I think a lot of people are giving us credit for, because of just how bad our performances have been this season up to now. But I also have to, I'm also not going to just dismiss that we had a lot of circumstances that made those already poor starts to the season even worse, right? I think a lot of people will say, okay, we lost to Ipswich and Crystal Palace with effectively a fully fit squad, and that's true. But whether or not that's true doesn't mean that suddenly with an injured squad we're supposed to put up some results that we weren't capable of. So we had a severe injury crisis for a pretty for about 2-3 months, and that just didn't help us at all. I think our form dropped off of even further off a cliff, and obviously we're 13th at the table right now. So the season's been poor, but I think hopefully if there's any way to get it back, I think we have the easiest pathway to the final in the Europa League. All the good teams are on the other side of the bracket. We're having time to get our players back. We're having time to get our players rested. We're playing mostly 1 game a week. So I definitely think if Ange is what I give him credit for, he should be winning this Europa League.
Okay, Perchy. I'll just finish off on Arian's last sentence. Ange should be winning the Europa League. Agree? Disagree?
But yeah, I mean, the way that this guy is made out to be, he should be winning it with a canter, right? I mean, we hear all about this. He wins in his 2nd season, about how great he is. Then go and prove it, right? I think I've always stood by the whole go and prove it. I totally disagree that we've got this easy run sort of thing. I look at teams like Frankfurt, Ajax, Lazio, teams like that are gonna would love to play a Tottenham Hotspur. I watch a lot of these teams in Europe. They'd love to play the way that. I mean, imagine us going away to Lazio in a semi-final at the Stadio Olimpico, defending the way that we defend. They'll sit there and go, happy days. Same with the likes of Ajax. Same with the likes of Frankfurt. I think you'd kind of want Ajax in the quarterfinals. I think out of those two, but I don't get the excitement at the moment, because I look at and go, the history and short-term history has proven that when it matters, we don't win big games of football. And now what we're sitting there now all of a sudden discounting teams that tactically are far, far better than us. And then you look like, let's just say hypothetically we get to a final and you end up playing an Athletic Bilbao. Let's just say we play those in a final at their home ground in a final. Like, Spurs struggle at home, let alone going into a atmosphere like that. Look, let's not get ahead of ourselves in the sense of going there. Does anyone genuinely on this panel think they sit there and go and say, I'm confident that we're going to get to a final with the way that we play? Forget players, tactically the way we play is not suited for it.
I mean, Mikhail, by the way, this will be the first time I go round in a circle. After we get round to Lubo, I will then just have a free-for-all, because I don't like the whole, but I find it a bit boring. Mikhail, Arian and Perchi, they have very, very different views on what this season looks like and what the Europa League path looks like. Are Spurs fans very dismissive of European teams? Because I think we are, because the way I hear us talking about other football clubs is as though none of them are any good, have never won anything. We talk like we're the favourites, but yet we've been absolutely diabolical for about 5, 6, 7 seasons. Where is this coming from? This hope, this belief, this disrespect to other nations. What's going on, Mikhail?
I think this question landed on a good person, right? Because not only am I like a Spurs fan, but I'm also like foreign, right?
I knew what I was doing.
I have a bit of a like. What I will say is not meant to offend anybody, right? But I sense a lot of that, like self-belief and the dismissal of like other leagues from fans of Premier League or Premier League teams and from like English fans, right? And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but there is some sort of like, some sort of a belief that Premier League is the best league and none other league compares to it, right? The term Farmers League, I think, is the most like disingenuous thing that you can say about like different leagues and different teams in different countries, right? And then listen, that's why every time an English team goes abroad and they lose, I kind of have a bit of a chuckle, right? Like last season, Villa lost to Legia Warsaw in Poland, right? And I'm not going to lie, I was laughing my ass off, right? Because from my point of view, like Villa had players that were worth more than the whole Legia Warsaw squad, right? And you would be quick to dismiss that team, and yet. Of course, Villa are better, right? I'm not meaning to say that. Those clubs are better overall, right?
But during the occasion, right? It's not about who's better on the night, is it? It's about the occasion, and yeah.
So in general, I think that there is that feeling in Spurs fans and in fans of other English clubs that European competition should be easy unless you meet one of the best clubs, right? And then things like Villarreal happen for Arsenal and for United and all that stuff, right? So I wouldn't say that the pathway in Europa League is easy, right? Because I think that realistically we could probably land on some easier teams along the way. If we faced Anderlecht, probably it would be easier than playing Frankfurt, right? Just as an example. So I think it's kind of like in the middle. I think it could be worse. And my opinion on the Europa League is that I don't necessarily believe we are going to win it because of the lack of quality in our squad. And also, I don't necessarily believe that Ange is the man to lead us to that trophy, right? But I still have a bit of that like youthful belief that I'm sometimes talk about. I think I haven't been scarred yet, enough, or should I say, right, by this team. So I will get there, right, but eventually. But still, I think I have this faith that maybe by hook or crook we somehow do it, right. I don't believe it in like from a reasonable point of view, right? But
the beautiful thing is, Lubo has been scarred more than all of us. Then it trickles down to Stella and I, who are of a similar age. We're scarred. Then it goes to Perchie, who's been there. Then you and Arian, it's an age thing. And this is why when people go, you're miserable and negative, it's like, no, I've just seen this for so many years. Like, I remember having these conversations every year we went into Europe under Poch. Every year we went into Europe under Harry. I remember these conversations of, this is the year, this is the year, this is the year. Look, Stel, where are you at with everything the guys have said so far? I clipped you today. I put you out on one of my videos. I clipped you saying, this is why we won't win the Europa League. Lots of fans think we will. Why the discrepancy between the two sides of the fan base?
Desperation. Fans who are desperate will find any way possible to justify, believe something that just isn't true. And it's all from desperation. If you're desperate for a job, you're desperate for money, you might do things that, you think just maybe if I buy that lottery ticket, I'll win the national lottery and I'll get out of poverty and whatnot. And okay, but it's from a place of desperation, right? It's not from a place of belief. Anyone who buys a lottery ticket does not believe, I'm going to win. They're like, do you know what? I hope, I might be that 1 in 10 million that wins it. And Spurs fans are so desperate that they'll look. Classic example. We signed Werner, and I said, shut it down. This is going to be an abomination of a transfer window. This is a sign of things to come. This is going to be the catalyst of a very average summer window, and we are not going to sign anyone of experienced levels that we would regard as a wow signing. It's not going to happen. And the reason I said that is because I've got 25 years of patterns under this ownership and under previous managers to spot how it goes. And that's exactly the window we had. But the journalist, the football agent said, no, we're going to sign Eze. We're going to get Tony. No. Gallagher. We're advanced talks with Gallagher. Ange has picked up the phone. Gallagher is coming. Medical imminent. Wait, hold on. Tony might be coming to Spurs, people. But because the journalist said that, everyone's like, oh, wow, they said it. Right. Jump on it. I'm all over it. Desperation. Yes. And then you get to the end of the window. No apology from the journalists or sports agents who all got it catastrophically wrong because they're not in the know. None of them are in the boardroom with Levy and Enoch. None of us know what transfers we're going to sign. But if you look at the behaviour of the club, if you look at the behaviour of Ange, you can kind of tell where it's going to go. And it's been like that all season, We're going to finish third. We're going to finish fourth. And you say to these people, but hold on a minute. What if we get injuries? Like, we struggled 1 game a week. We struggled. We went out of all the cups. We had no Europe. We bottled top 4. We had a disastrous last 10 games at the end of last season. Who have we signed that makes you think we're going to compete on all fronts, playing 3 times a week? What if we get 3 or 4 key injuries? Then what? You're toxic. You're poison. You're a disease to the club. When it all pans out, right, Levy out. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm Levy out. Well, hold on. Why won't you Levy out in the summer then? What's going on here? Now that we've crashed out of the cups, now the transfer window's proven not to be successful, here we are. What do I do now? I know, desperation. We're going to win the Europa. That's it, people. We're going to win the Europa. 40 years we haven't won a European trophy, but Ange is going to do it because he's proven to us jack shit, but he's going to win the Europa. And I just sit here thinking the delusion and the desperation in this fan base is sickening. All our players are back, except for 2 centre-backs and Solanke. They're all back. We were shocking against Man City. We were fucking awful, man. For 45 minutes, we should have been 4-0 down. What was the excuse now? Oh, but Man City, they're a top team. You can't compare us. What, the same top team we beat 4-0 away from home? The same manager that you lot have all written off because he's having half a bad season. The same club that went on a 10-game, they couldn't win for 10 games. Suddenly, they're the best again. Listen, we pick and choose when it suits us to have narratives to justify awful opinions, shocking thinking on the club, and no substance or logic to back up pretty much all the opinions I've heard this season. Ange has been shit. Levy doesn't care. And Lange, what does he do? He can't get a deal over the line. Levy's got to get on a private jet to do Lange's job. Savva.
It's just hope.
I could sit and repeat myself every week, but that's all I do. I repeat myself every week.
Let me just get Lubo in, and then we could do a free for all. Let me get Lubo in. I mean, Lubo, I love that. That was like a prize-winning Oscar speech from Stella. Lubo, I'll come at it at a different angle with you. I was assured by all the people who keep telling me I'm negative. I was assured you'll look stupid, Savva, when we win the League Cup. Then I was assured you'll look stupid, Savva, when we win the FA Cup. I'm now being told I'm negative and I'll look stupid when we win the Europa League. And by the way, I can look stupid if it means just winning a Europa League. But what's different in the Europa League versus the two home competitions? Because the moment we came up against anyone good in those competitions, we went out. So what's different, Lubo, to give that hope and that encouragement for the Europa League campaign versus the two home-based competitions?
Well, I'll say what I've been saying on this channel and on Stella's channel all season. The Europa, I think, is our best chance of a trophy because it's a tier 2 competition with tier 2 teams that don't include tier 1 teams who knocked us out of both domestic trophies, to give an example. So for me, there's nobody who is as in either of these competitions that are as good as Liverpool and your team, Villa. So, and
hang on. Sorry, you don't think Roma, Bilbao, Lazio, we don't think they're as good as Aston Villa?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
We've seen how good Bilbao have played this season. That's mad.
I don't. I think Villa
that's an awful
opinion. Villa finished fairly high up in the group stage, didn't they, in the Champions League? I think I would back Villa against Bilbao if they played next week. Definitely.
I'm not.
They'd have them on toast, mate.
No way. Everybody's building up Bilbao to be fantastic. They lost Atletico last night.
Huh?
Yeah, that's because Atletico are one of the
Atletico Madrid are a top side.
If they were that fantastic, but that's the point I'm making. Atletico are a Champions League team, and Bilbao are a Europa League team.
Lubo, can I just say what you're doing here, right? Remember when I said we're going to go to Anfield second leg? As soon as that, when you walk through, as soon as that starts, the whole team's going to go, and we're going to shit the bed. And we literally got pounded 4-0. And I said that's going to happen. But you went up there and you said, you never know. You just never know. And I said, okay.
That's right. I said we had a 5% chance, didn't I? And for that reason, I was
5% chance against Bilbao, Luba.
No, I wouldn't give us 5. I'd give us more than that against Bilbao.
I don't.
I mean, we talk about Bilbao. They put 7 bars wide to lit the other day. By the way, 7.
I'm watching. By the way, I'm watching. Like I've seen a lot of Bilbao this year. I've got Lazio on the telly right now. Now they're 0-0 after 10 minutes. I'm watching Lazio how they move the ball forward, getting down the channels. They're going to murder us if we play them. Listen, look, I get it, right? There are people that want to believe, and yes, as fans, we should all be saying, "Come on, win that Europa League." Do you understand? Again, this is now to everybody, right? This is to everybody. Let's just have a general chat. Do people understand why there are so many of us that are so burnt and don't just have that blind faith? And I'll back onto this. I want to bring the Ange factor into this. That lots of people keep telling me that what Ange can do in his second season, what Ange does as a manager. What where's that coming from? Like, I'll tell you, let me start with you, Aaron, and then anyone can just jump in. Like, you've been someone that's vocally backed Ange. Fair play to you. We've got different opinions on that. But can I ask where does that hope and belief come from? Because you can't tell me it's anything you've seen on the actual football pitch because it's been crap. Surely you can't tell me it's anything to do with the league because we're 13th. We've lost 14 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
In domestic cup competitions, he's been absolutely atrocious for 2 seasons. Can I ask for you, where does this belief in Ange Postecoglou come from?
It comes so the whole idea about him winning in his second season, even from him, is just that's what I do record wise, right? And you can sit here in this and look, we can both, and I actually kind of understand the counter argument to that. It's like, yeah, you were in Celtic, you were at Yokohama, you were in Australia. Those competitions aren't as prestigious, and that's its own thing. So with the record, like the reality of the record is, yes, literally everywhere Ange has gone, he's won something in his second season. Whether or not he's going to do that here, yet to be seen. The idea of him being a good enough manager to take us to the level, I think it's what constitutes like an elite or a good manager for a lot of people is very different. So for me, what I've been really hopeful, the reason I've been very hopeful and the reason I've wanted Ange to work and I think it could work is I think, contrary to a lot of you, I think the fundamental difference is I actually think his play style is good. I think it is something that is high risk, high reward, and I think with time you'll get the benefits of that kind of play style. I know that's where the fundamental difference comes because once we start talking about it, you'll say the play style is suicidal. Teams like
I want to
teams
interject.
Like
I want to interject. I want you to elaborate on that.
I think.
Hang on. I want you to elaborate on this specific point. You've said over time we'll see the benefit of that. I keep hearing this from people, Arian. But one, how long is over time? Because that is such a it's just thrown out there.
Okay.
And two, based on what can you say over time we will see it's going to bear fruit and we'll see the benefit? Because we're getting worse and worse and worse every month that we are under this manager. So where's the belief that we'll see the benefit? That's the bit I can't quite wrap my head around.
I think we've seen the best teams play a style that for the last 5 years I've not seen a ton of besides Ange. I think for 5 years we've been in this cycle of playing or hiring coaches that like to play a more pragmatic, defensive and negative, right? And I know pragmatic doesn't always mean negative. I know that's going to be a distinction people make, but we've been used to a negative brand of football at Spurs for the last 5 years until Ange came. And I think if you want to progress to the top as a team, any team, you're going to need to play a style of football where the team is comfortable on the ball, comfortable taking risks with the ball. And I think that's one thing that Ange is trying to instill in the team. And if you look at the teams who've had longer projects and succeeded, you look at Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, you look at Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, where for the first few seasons they were pretty crap. And I know you're going to say, well, they didn't consistently get worse over a period of time, and that's not necessarily true. You look at Arsenal for about 2 years under Arteta, they looked absolutely hopeless until they started bringing in reinforcements to the squad, which is hopefully what we begin to do, and I think we are beginning to do. I think if you look at a fully fit Tottenham squad right now, post this January window, we have a very decent amount of depth in everywhere except I would say probably the center back and the even the left back area. I think besides those two areas, and also we just need a quality midfielder, which, so there's problems in the squad. I think if you can address some problems in the squad, I don't think the brand of football is something that's destined to fail. And I think I think Ange can execute it correctly in terms of coaching. I think there's players who I've seen improve. I think there's in the beginning of the season for the first 5-6 games, even though we weren't getting consistent results, I actually thought we were playing very well for until like the first 6-7 games.
Though? Playing
what does what mean?
Right, but we lose. We've lost more games, stagnated collectively anyway. You say we have depth. I don't actually disagree. I think we do have relative depth in positions. But it's not, for me, that's not my issue. My issue's never been about squad depth and stuff. Tactically, we are awful. I asked people when we played Man City, I said, go and watch. Ignore watching the game. What we do as fans, we watch the game. Go and watch the 3 midfielders. So it was Maddison, Bergvall, and Bentancur. I said, go and watch those 3. Ignore everything else that goes on. Look at the shape from our midfielders. It's non-existent. And And unfortunately, this is what I hear all the time. It's the playing style will get better. It will get better. Blah blah blah. I've seen this all season. No one can explain to me why we get bullied in midfield every single week. Every single week, teams. It doesn't matter who you are. Ipswich did it for patches against big patches against us. Absolutely outplayed our midfield. And Man City could have been 4 or 5-0 up at half time if they wanted to. Like, for me, the issues are tactical. They've always been tactical. It doesn't matter who. At one point, I was looking at Bentancur was the furthest forward. Everyone tells me he's the 6 or this mysterious double pivot 8 or whatever you want to call it. Like, when you look at us tactically, I'll ask this to you, Arian, because obviously you are on the side of Ange in that sense. Where do you see us tactically getting better? All results getting better, but tactically, we look awful. We don't control games. When was the last time we went, we've controlled that game of football?
That's a good question. When was the last time where we controlled the game? I think against Ipswich until Danso just fell over on the ball. And I know people are going to say that was because Ange switched them, and to some extent I agree. I don't know why he was playing on that side or is, but I think until that point we had been controlling Ipswich until they made the game 2-1 and then it got nervy. We have a problem controlling games. We have a problem in midfield, and I would personally attribute that more to a personnel problem than a tactical problem, because I think we're missing, and I think every big club that's missing this profile has always struggled. It's a number 6, a real number 6.
But the manager has said he prefers to have 2 like workman-like 8s in midfield. He's not said he wants a defensive number 6.
Coach, it's like the excuse for Ange is the very thing that he says he doesn't want.
He doesn't want. I hear all the time. Everyone says he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Even if we go on the other way and we say we want 2 workman-like 8s, I don't think Basuma is any good. I don't think Bentancur's any good.
Really? I think Basuma's played horribly out of position.
I think Basuma is just shit, to be honest with you.
Is he?
Yes,
No,
he's terrible. He's terrible. Basuma is shit.
Arian,
Yes.
Hang on, Arian. Before we go back to individual players, I want to pick up on a few things that you mentioned there that I've written down. But 3 things that absolutely baffled me what you said. Right. One was that you've seen many players improve. I haven't seen a single footballer improve under this manager in 2 years. I've not seen everyone that joined, right? Destiny Udogie is worse than when he joined. He looks absolutely dreadful. Pedro Porro, he hasn't improved a single thing. He hasn't improved him defensively. He hasn't improved the back 4. We can't defend. There's no shape. There's no... You know when the right back and the right centre half have a partnership, and the left back and the left centre half, and the right winger and the right back, and he hasn't got any of that right. Bentancur's not improved. Basuma's not improved. Yeah, Bergvall, difficult to say because he's an 18-year-old kid. So at that age, they're going to get better for a little bit at least because they are kids. But Papasar's not improved as a footballer. Kulusevski's not improved as a footballer. Sonny's dropped off as a footballer.
Kulusevski's not improved under Ange?
Well, Arian, if you look at Kulusevski this year, Kulusevski's done exactly what he's done every other year. He's had really good spells in the team and then spells where he just looks awful. So I'm asking you, when you said with his coaching, players have improved. Yeah. Coaches out there, some of the best coaches and the best pundits out there in the world of football are all mocking us for how tactically poor we are as a football club. Why is everyone saying it other than Spurs fans like you? Why can Glenn Hoddle see it? Why did Harry Redknapp call it? Why are there pundits in the studio like Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher all going, this is shambolic, these tactics. But people like you are sitting there going, I see it that in the long term we're improving and it will get better. When last bit I'll say, Arian, is surely in 2 years that he's been here, nearly 2 years, right? Surely, shouldn't we see slight improvements over the team? What we've seen is this. We've seen that. So if his coaching's good, if players are improving, if you think that the style of play is going to bear fruit. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to pick you up on, you said about the style of play that's been bought was really negative under the previous managers. This manager plays some of the worst football I've ever seen at Tottenham. It is just sideways passing, sideways, horseshoe, sideways. And people are mistaking that for attacking. So where is all this true? Who's he improved? What's he coached? What's he changed? What's he adapted?
Okay. I think the most dishonest thing you've done is to kind of paint Ange's style as negative or not attacking. We have scored like the second most goals in the Premier League besides Liverpool. I think if you're trying to paint it as something else that it's not, that's just dishonest. And I think you know that.
Arian, did we score a lot of goals under Jose Mourinho?
Did we score the second most in the league? You can tell me that one.
Hang on.
No, you can tell me that one.
But
of course we scored goals. We had Harry Kane and Son. We don't have either of those players really anymore.
I'm not.
Aaron, no caveat. Did we score a lot of goals? Did we score a lot of goals under Jose? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. Jose's not an attacking manager. So what that proves is you can score lots of goals without being an attacking football team.
Look, I know you're not this like you understand what I'm saying, right? I'm not gonna play this game with you. I'm not gonna play this game with you, Stel, where you're gonna pretend like it's insignificant.
That's Savva.
Sorry, no, I don't have my screen's not working. That's why I can't see anybody. But okay. I'm not gonna play this game.
That doesn't sound like him.
Where like we pretend like we think the inclusion of Harry Kane is like not significant. Harry Kane had the most goals and the most assists in the season.
I've not mentioned Harry Kane at all.
I know you haven't mentioned him, but the reason you've not mentioned him is because it actually would ruin your point if you did.
No, it doesn't, Aaron. My point wasn't that Jose Mourinho had Kane and Son, right? Because if you look at the team, let's play your game, Arian, then. Right. If you want to go on about, Savva, you're not this, you're not that. Arian, look at the 11 that Jose Mourinho put out on a football pitch. His back three, right? Mm-hmm. His back three was Dyer, Sanchez, right? Dyer, Sanchez, and Davis, or Roden. He had Ryan Sessegnon and Serge Aurier as wing-backs. He had Winks, Skip, Sissoko, and Ndombele in midfield. All he had was Kane and Son. That was it. Right. That's all he had.
Okay.
So look at what Ange has got. You've said it in the show. Ange has got depth. Ange has got depth. We score a lot of goals. But how many do we let in because of his shit tactics?
My whole point is when you're saying that, we scored a lot of goals under Mourinho, you're writing that off as if Mourinho came back tomorrow. If Mourinho came back
we'd
tomorrow,
score a lot of goals.
We would not score nearly as many goals.
Always score a lot of goals.
We wouldn't score. We wouldn't score half as many as we do under Ange, and I tell you that with full confidence.
Whoa! Sorry,
I can tell you that with full confidence.
Guys, can I just say one thing to this? Just one stat though, because it's important for this conversation, right? It's important for this conversation. Arian, you're right. We are the second top scorers in the Premier League. However, balance of those goals skews the data. 70% of our goals come in 35% of the games. So for 65% of our games this season, we're not scoring these goals. And that's the problem. So as attacking as it might look, if you look at one metric, goals scored, when you look at where and when those goals are scored, the picture is very different.
And doesn't it also caveat to the fact that what we're mistaken is we score a lot of goals in patches of games, right? So we'll go and win 4-1 here and there, and we'll win 5-1 here and there, and we'll win 3-0 here and there. But we're losing loads. We're basically caveating the fact that us scoring goals in patches of games means it's really disingenuous, because for me, I don't care how many goals we score. I don't balance that as a football fan as a metric that I go, hang on, that's something I should be proud of, because that's rubbish, right? Because we're 13th in the league, right? Scoring loads of goals means nothing. But if we're leaking goal after goal at the back end and we can't beat teams like Ipswich, Palace, all these lot, throwing away a 2-0 against Brighton. My point is it's kind of irrelevant. Would you rather win 1-0 every game to the end of the season and win the league, or would you rather go and score twice as many goals but finish mid-table? It's nonsensical, right?
You can
Yes,
score three
exactly.
goals in a
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
That's
We
not what I
scored-
said.
But hang on. But this guy here's got a great point, because when we get battered by teams, do you know what normally happens, Ariane? Those teams go game over. And have you noticed we score a load of goals when that happens? When we played Liverpool and lost 6-3, I think they were 5-1 up, and they went, it's game over here. And then we went and scored 2 more goals. And they went, hang on, we better go down the other end. So it kind of is irrelevant, right? Do you sort of get my point?
I understand what you're saying, but I first of all, like, you saying you scoring goals is useless and I'd rather win every game 1-0. Obviously, I'd rather win the game 1-0, but that's not what is being discussed. It's not what I would rather. The question that was asked of me was, do I think that there's signs of improvement in this team? I think the fact that we can score a boatload of goals, with the fact that the squad's not been in a very great state for even some time, where even our attacking talent was tired or even unavailable, and we've still got the second most goals in the league, I think that's a sign of I think that's a positive sign. So that's what I'm getting at, and I don't understand saying,
Can I just bring a fact into it? Can I just bring? I want to bring one fact to. You said to me, I can confidently say. Now, I love that you felt that you could confidently say it, but I've just been looking up, and your confidence is very, very misguided, my friend. This is the problem when people say things like, "I can confidently say this." Do you know how many goals Tottenham scored? Right in Jose Mourinho's first 38 games as Tottenham manager. Do you know how many goals Spurs scored in? No. Okay, do you know how many goals Ange Postecoglou had in his first 38 games as Spurs manager?
Enlighten me.
Right. So Ange Postecoglou in his first season at Tottenham scored 74 goals. In Jose Mourinho's first 38, we scored 73. We scored one less under Jose Mourinho. But now here's the stat. Here's the difference between the two managers. This is why one can coach and the other one can't, Arian. Do you know how many goals we conceded under Jose Mourinho in his first 38 games?
Nope.
With that shocking defense he had, right? In his first 38 games, he conceded 54 goals. Mm-hmm. In Ange's first 38 games, he conceded 66. So when you actually look at that, their goal difference, Jose Mourinho's is
61,
better.
61, sir. 61 first 38 games.
In his first 38 games?
Yeah, 61. I've got all the figures here. In terms of goals,
not his first season, his first 38 games.
Oh, you're not talking Premier League, you're talking everything.
I'm talking Premier League. Don't forget, he didn't do a full season, did he? He had bits of a season and bits of a season.
Yeah. He started didn't he?
I've just got the figures season by season.
No. Yeah, but he didn't do a full season, so that's what I've been working out in the background.
Yeah, but then you count Pochettino like 10 games.
That's right.
That's
right. Exactly. But either way you look at it, this notion that no other manager can score the volume of goals that Ange does, not true, right? The difference is those managers will score nearly as many, if not as many, but they don't concede the same amount as Ange with worse squads, Ariane. That's the difference, right? So when you're saying, the style of play is better than Jose and Conte, and what, but Stel will tell you, Percy will tell you, Mikau and Lubo will tell you, I didn't want Conte at this football club. They'll all tell you that. I didn't like his style of play. I don't see any difference in what we do now under this manager. What we do under this manager now, pass, sideways. Mm-hmm. But you know the difference? Antonio Conte's team doesn't have a gaping hole through the middle of its team for 90 minutes. So when you're saying tactically and coaching, Arian, can you not see that we're wide open from minute 1 to minute 90 of every game? Surely you see that.
Okay. I would be stupid to not point out that defensively we have had problems the entirety of the season and the entirety of every game after the first 10 of last season. That's not up for negotiation. What I'm saying, first of all, and the thing I really hate about the Mourinho scored X amount of goals, Conte scored X, and I know Harry Kane's not been in this football club for 2 years, and I know everyone's sick and tired of it, but the fact that I'm tired of pretending like it's irrelevant that he was here. Our
but
third top goal.
Arian,
No.
2
Our,
years
listen,
later, it
our
is.
third top goal
hang
scorer
on.
under Mourinho.
Yeah, but Arian,
was
hang
own
on.
goal, and under Conte, it was
Hang
own
on.
goals. Our third.
Okay,
goal
What
Arian.
has that
Hang
got
on,
to do with
can
Ange?
I answer that? Can I answer that? I'd like to answer
It's
that.
mad.
So,
It's like
Arian.
they've got a book of excuses, the Ange fans, and Harry Kane is
Hang
like a
on,
number
Arian.
3.
Can I
it's
just
mad.
sorry, can I very quickly answer this? Arian,
Okay.
what are we doing here? 2021, Jose and Mason, 68 goals. 21-22, Nuno and Conte, 69 goals. 22-23, Conte, Stellini, Mason, 70 goals. Last year with Ange, 74. Now,
Okay, can I ask you a question?
now hold on. So without Kane, we scored 4 more goals, and the goal, right? So, as much as I love Harry Kane, we changed the way that we did it, and more players, instead of just Kane and Son scoring 80 or 85% of the goals, players came in and scored. The problem you've got is that every top team builds from the back, and Ange builds from the front, and you can see in the way we play just how wide open we are. And until that reverses, I mean, I must be mad. I have got hope that we're going to win the Europa. Otherwise, I wouldn't be getting on a plane on Thursday morning. But it is a hope. I can't, I actually had more belief going into the Champions League because we had Kane and Son playing.
Can I just ask a quick question? Yeah, sorry. Arian, this is to you. Overall, have we got a better squad right now than we did under Jose Mourinho?
Yes.
So what's the excuse? He's got a better squad. He's got a better squad, but doing worse. But what's the excuse then? Individually, as a collective team, we have a better squad right now than Jose Mourinho did.
Ange Postecoglou
How did he manage to do
than
it?
Mourinho did last season. Ange Postecoglou finished higher than Mourinho did last season.
Yeah, he had a better squad.
Yeah, and that's what I just said.
But okay. He's 13th right now.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on.
Have we got a better squad? Games, we had the worst injury players in the league.
Have we got a better squad for last season or this season?
Hang on.
Squad-wise, we have a better squad this season than last season, but we've played individually.
But we're
11 for
13th
11.
in the league.
Yes, because 11. Look, we had how many games did we play with Archie Gray at centre back?
But that wasn't where we were weak. That wasn't where we were. This is the problem, right? This is the problem, Arian. When people say, "Look who we had at centre back," right? How do you not see that? If you protect your centre-backs, you can get away with that. Look at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They played a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old at centre-back all season. They protect their back 4.
They're still okay, but they've had a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old who are good centre-backs. We're playing a box-to-box 18-year-old midfielder in centre-back and Radu Dragusin.
But we don't protect him. But we don't protect the centre-backs. Radu Dragusin's a Romanian international footballer. You cannot
And
use
he's shit. And he's shit, by the way.
This is the thing. And to your point just now, again, this is where it's slightly disingenuous. When you say he finished higher than Jose, well, Jose never had game 1 to game 38 of a season. Now, factually, people can go and fact check me if you want on this, right? Jose Mourinho's time at Tottenham Hotspur, do you know how many teams finished above him from the form table from the first game at Spurs to the last? So he did nearly a season and a half at Tottenham, not one full season, right? There were 3 clubs that finished higher than Jose Mourinho in that time. So, Arian, again, when you're saying he finished higher than Jose, no, he didn't.
Okay.
He didn't finish.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go for it.
Mikael, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, because I kind of want to play a bit of a devil's advocate, right? And not really like back you, Arian, right? But I will give you my own perspective, right? Because I wasn't against Ange Postecoglou until, let's say, Christmas time, around that, right? We had that whole therapy session after Fulham on Stelios' channel, right? Where it was basically like 1.5 hours of a therapy session for me, whatever, right? But, jokes aside, right? I actually agree with you in the sense that I was fully backing the idea of Ange's style of play, right? I like the fact that we moved away from the defensive style of football to what was supposed to be an offensive style of football with lots of goals, right? I enjoyed watching it more, right? Especially in the first season. I actually, up until a certain point, I enjoyed watching our team play, right?
Mhm.
What I took issue with was the application of that idea, right? So again, I wasn't against like the philosophy or however, the new modern term for it is, right? But I was against the application. So I think we are a bit caught like between two minds, right? I'm not. What I struggle with, right, is again I was in the same camp as you up until December, or like a similar camp, let's call it, right? But I just struggle to see why people who were backing Ange Postecoglou sometimes struggle to admit, like not you exactly, right? Because you say plenty of criticism towards him, right? And you point out the mistakes, right? I just struggle to find why people still believe in him, right? Because for me, I know he won in Scotland, right? But for me, that's not enough evidence to prove to me by his previous actions that he will change what's going on right now at our club. I just struggle to understand why so many people are fixated on him exactly, right? I don't know what his credentials are so that so many people believe that he will change things, right? Because for me, he won't, right? He has shown me plenty of times that he won't, right? For me, at least, he's too stubborn of a manager. I think he doesn't change the tactics enough. He doesn't adapt to the opposition. I feel like we are just, as Savva has said, wide open, right? And we can throw statistics here and there and say, oh, we scored like 4 goals more and conceded 10 less, right? For me, like what matters the most is the application on the football pitch. And I just think we are too open. I just think the idea was good, but the application of the idea does not bear any fruits, in my opinion. Like won't lead us to anything great. That's how I look at it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
look,
we'll see.
just
in the
quickly, I
cup
don't
will
want
we?
this to become everybody versus Aria, like because of his.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
really
yeah.
appreciate
I
you
don't
coming
mind.
on. No, I know you don't mind, but I think the key thing for me is, and I do want to get back to kind of the Europa League stuff. The key thing for me is, the things you're saying now. It's just I've just heard for nearly 2 years. It will adapt, it will amend, it will change when the injuries are back. But I've looked at the stat either side of the summer. We talked about this the other day. Still, either side of the summer. For the last 10 games of last year and the first 12 games of this year, Spurs have played 22 games, right? And lost 12 of them. And I think it's something like 18 or 19 of those games, Van de Ven and Romero played. Like it's everyone keeps going on like, oh, but Gray played at centre half, or but this player didn't play. But the beginning of this year, our team was fit. The end of last year, our team was fit. Players were injured, right? The results have maintained and been the same, whether people are fit or not. And it feels to me like a very convenient excuse that when players are injured, we go, oh, well, that's why. But when these players were fit, we were wide open, right? When we've actually got a better clean sheet ratio with Gray and Davis playing there than we have with Van de Ven and Romero playing there, right? So all of this, but Archie Gray played centre half. Yeah, but Archie Gray isn't the problem. Archie Gray playing at centre half isn't the reason why we're overloaded in midfield. Archie Gray playing centre half isn't the reason why Pedro Porro and Adobe are never actually at fullback. Archie Gray playing in defence isn't the reason why we look like we've got no pattern of play going forward. It's for me, it's just too easy to say, oh, yeah, but we've had to play Gray there. Well, yeah, this manager loaned out, didn't he? He loaned out Phillips, who's a defender, so he could play Archie Gray there. That's on him.
Dorrington as well.
He loaned out defenders so that he could play a younger kid than them.
Yeah.
At defence. So surely, Arian, you get that a lot of his own decisions have come back to bite him on the backside, and he's not learning, is he?
Yes. I absolutely think that there's some decisions with loaning players and selling players that have bite him. I think like Solomon. How many times can we use Solomon this season? Right? Stuff like that where we have players that can help us out. But that's not the concern of, that's been and done. The real thing we have to tackle is what can be done for the remainder of the season, what maybe he could have done when we were having a lot of the problems. And part of the injury crisis that I think gets really overlooked is not necessarily that, okay, we have players that are just shit and they can't play football. I don't think Archie Gray is a bad player. I don't think Kulusevski's a bad player, but I think Kulusevski's performances have dropped off a cliff since the injury crisis. And I think a lot of it is the same players, the same 13 or 14 players, if we're, if you want to be kind, we're playing 90 minutes every 3 days. Okay.
Not true.
It is.
That isn't true. It wasn't every 3
We
days.
did this the other day. Arian, we did this on this channel the other day. Arian, we did this the other day.
Okay.
We looked at all the games and we looked at all the different changes that were being made, the options that he could have put on. What you mean to say is he didn't want to give anyone a chance. There were games where he. What do you mean like who?
What do you mean like who? I mean like who?
Okay, so
why did Ange say? Why did Ange say at the end of August, "I'm happy with my squad"?
Yeah.
Why did Ange say? Because he was happy. He's not lying, but that doesn't mean that we didn't have injuries. What are you saying?
Happy with the
I'm not having injuries.
If you're happy with your squad, right?
Yeah.
Not your starting 11, your squad. If you're happy with your squad, then make your squad work.
We had 12 injuries. 12.
Not all to first team players.
The squad is 25. Jed Spence wouldn't even be paying for Spurs if it wasn't for injuries. That's the manager's call. He would have been gone. That's the manager's vision on players.
That's an opinion.
Can I?
It's not an opinion.
It's not a fact. It's not a fact that Jed Spence was on shipped out of the squad in pre-season.
No, I'm not letting you get away with that one.
Go ahead.
It is factual.
Percy, in August 2023, Ange said he's open to listening for offers for Spence.
He wanted to sell him at least 3 times, by the way.
He didn't put him in the Europa Cup squad, Ariane, this season.
He put 4 goalkeepers.
How can you get
one of you? I can't. Sorry.
A year ago, he said he's happy to hear offers for Spence. A year later, summer just gone, he said he's not in the Europa Cup squad. The only reason Spence is playing is because of those injuries. Ange had no interest in this player. Spence has proven Ange wrong. Spence has proven Ange wrong. It's not these are facts. That's what happened. Why wasn't Spence in the squad then?
It's not. Why is Spence in the squad?
No. Spence wasn't in the squad. He wasn't. He wasn't in the Europa Cup squad.
Spence was en route and this was consensus, not just from Ange, from everybody in the club. Everybody wanted Spence sold in the summer, and everyone here, right? We all clowned on invert the wing for saying Spence was this incredible player. All this stuff is true.
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on, Ariane. Hang on a minute. No. I'm not.
You rated Jed Spence when he was on loan in Genoa. You rated Jed Spence, Virgie?
No. Hang on. I'm not. So hang on. Slow down.
It doesn't matter what we think. We're talking about Ange's decision.
Well, yeah, I would love to get there, but I spoke 2 sentences and I got.
Let me just finish my point.
Okay, go ahead.
Please.
What you've done is you conflated 2 different things in the whole conversation. You said, did I want him or should he be registered in the Europa League squad? No, if I had my opinion, I would have sold him in the summer and bought someone better. But he didn't do that. He kept a hold of him because we didn't get rid of him, and then decided not to register him in the Europa League squad and registered 4 goalkeepers in the Europa League squad. He made that decision. Yeah. So unfortunately, whatever you think, that is factual information. That is what the manager made the decision to do.
Right.
The manager chose he would rather have.
But you say, yeah, sure, right. But then you say that's not fact.
I would love to have gotten to that point, but I got interrupted by both of you at the same time.
No, because you said it wasn't fact, and it is fact.
No, what I said was not fact. No, here's what I said was fact. You said that the only reason Jed Spence is playing for Spurs right now is because of injuries. That's an opinion. It's not a fact. That's an opinion, and it's not a fact.
No, it is. No, all the fullbacks got injured, Ariane. That's why he played.
Can we ask the obvious question? Let's all calm down and ask the obvious question. Okay, if it's not a fact, Ariane, please tell me when Jed Spence started a game for Tottenham when all the other players were fit.
Coventry.
He didn't start.
He didn't start against Coventry.
He started in the. Was it against? He started one of the cup games, and I remember that for sure.
No, he didn't.
So Arian, do you see their point? I do see their point. But Ange himself explained the decision to leave Spence out of the Europa League. Yeah, but it was pathetic, wasn't it? It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't based on anything. It was.
What was it based off?
He said he was making it difficult for Spence.
Why?
On purpose.
Why?
This is Spence's problem at Spurs for the 2 years he's been here, besides Ange, has been an attitude problem. And it was the reason he got sent back from Leeds.
I'll concede that one for this
Managers
conversation.
challenge players like this. This is not Ange didn't invent this.
But hang on a minute. But the thing is this is the problem, right? And this is where I have an issue. Is I'll concede it. Let's just say he had an attitude problem. We don't actually know that.
Okay.
What is that? What was Ange's decision to do the other day?
What, to bench him against Man City?
Drop Spence. Drop Spence.
The best defender we've had at the moment, he benched him, which basically says is thank you for basically covering my arse whilst we've got no problems. You've been our best player. You're now on the bench. Does that not show that there is favouritism from this manager?
No.
There isn't favouritism. No. So why did he not start against when?
No, there's got to be some kind of favouritism.
I mean, right? I'm not even.
Look, Arian, let me just say this, yeah. For me, right? I said I was always kind of willing to give Ange a chance. I wasn't Ange out, Ange in, yeah. As soon as I said at the Ipswich game when I was there with Ben, I was like, I know Ange is going to drop Spence, and if he does, I'm Ange out, because to me there is something going on there. Why he's picking? Why you do not play the player who's just had 2 man of the match performances and a goal in his last game? He's been our best player for the second half of the season. Why would you drop this geezer? Like it's ridiculous.
Honestly. Tell you. It's an incredibly easy answer, actually.
Oh, man.
It's an incredibly easy answer. Me included, have been saying the squad needs rest, the squad needs rotation, Ange needs a bigger squad. I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I say Ange's problem is that his squad is too small and there's too many injuries, and as soon as a lot of his players are available right now, which they are, he goes on and plays the same 11 every week and doesn't rest his players. That's what it is.
Arian, can I ask you a question about that then?
Oh,
yeah. I get it. Do you know what? I completely get it. I actually think you've got a really good point. Right, is he needs to rotate more. When he does, we can't complain as fans. Is that your point? I get
absolutely,
it. Right?
Absolutely.
I 100% get it. But do you also concede that Jed Spence has started 9 games of football since August? Not right. Sure. 9 games of football. So when we're saying to rotate, and you don't need to rotate a bloke that's played 9 games of football all season for a bloke who's half fit in a doggy and just come back. Second of all, why is that the game where you've chosen to rest Kulu when you needed him to protect the right back? Like, surely
we have a Europa League knockout tie on Wednesday. That's why.
Sure, Aaron. Sure, but there's eight days in between the 2 games. Sure, if you were going to do that, can you imagine the Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Man Cities, the Chelseas, the Uniteds that for years and years and years have played 60, 70 games a year because they've been in Champions League, getting to finals, FA Cup finals. Can you imagine if they went, hang on, we've got a big game in eight games. Those clubs are going, shit, we've got a big game on Saturday, then on Tuesday, then on Friday, then on Wednesday. Right? So we get a game 8 days apart, and we're saying that Jed Spence, who's played 9 games of football all season, needs to be rested for 8 days' time, Arian. Come on, man.
Look.
But the point is Jed Spence actually played 4 games in a row, by the way. He missed the Leicester game. He played 4 games in a row because he had a knock and missed the Leicester game. So what we're seeing here, when we use the rest card, basically, it's the excuse because the favourite boys and Porro and Adogi are back. Now Jed Spence is dropped.
Spence played 90 minutes for 6 games in a row leading up to the match.
No. That's incorrect.
No, it's not. Hang on, including all competitions?
5 games. Sorry, 5 games. We've got the programme here.
So
5 games in a row.
5 games? He's a professional.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't look at the Elfsport game. Yeah, you're right.
He has played. His first start was against... His first start this season was against Man United in the League Cup quarter-final. He then played, and he got sent off against Forest. He was suspended for 1 game. He played 11 out of the next 17, or 16 less the suspension.
That's not a lot.
That is all. It's not like he's played 17 on the spin like Archie Gray did.
Not about 17 on the
spin. He played 11 out.
Archie Gray in there, isn't it, we got centre-back options back. Look, Archie Gray. You made a very good point bringing him up. Archie Gray played a lot of games center back until we needed help. And as soon as Davis came back, Archie Gray went back on the bench because he played so many games in a row.
And because he's not a centre back.
And because he's not a centre back, but also he performed. But here's the thing. he, in my opinion, was performing better than Dragic. If it was up to me on performance-wise who I'd keep, I'd fucking bench Dragic and keep Gray. But because of how many games in a row Archie Gray had played,
Ariane,
yeah.
Why has Ange not once ever, as in ever, played Gray in midfield?
Because we haven't had the circumstances for it. Why? What do you mean?
We haven't had this.
No, we haven't.
All season, we haven't been able to play Archie Gray in midfield. Arian?
There was. Okay, if you want to get that semantic with me, there was a 20-minute period in a game he started.
Archie Gray was on the bench for the entire season until we got injuries at centre back.
Can I just?
There was plenty of times to play him in the 6. He hasn't done it.
I don't understand. Whenever I speak to anybody that is pro Ange, right? Whenever I speak to anyone that is pro Ange, they can't seem to look at any of these obvious things. There seems to be a ready-made excuse for everything. My point is this: if we look down the road, right? Imagine what we're seeing now, guys. Everybody in the chat, you, Arian, everyone on the panel. Imagine what we're seeing now was Arsenal. Imagine Arsenal were 13th in the table. Imagine Arsenal were knocked out of both cups like we were. Imagine Arsenal, right, had lost 14 of 27 league games, right? We would be looking at them going, how shit are they? That is awful. They're shit. When it's Spurs, I've heard today injuries, tiredness, Ange ball, blah, blah, blah. Like, Arian, surely you've seen this.
I don't need to pretend, Savva. We've seen Arsenal get knocked out by Olympiacos, finish 8th in the Premier League table.
Sure.
Just be genuine. I don't need to pretend. Okay, they've been in this spot.
No, they've never been in this spot. No, they haven't. They've never been in this spot. They've never been in this spot.
Yes, in this specific spot where we're.
Why do you want us to copy Arsenal's model? At the start of the show, you said, "Look at Arteta; he's been there for 5 years." So now you're dismissing Arsenal. Why do we want to copy their model?
I'm not dismissing them. You didn't let me finish my point. I'm saying they've been here. They've been shit. They've been.
They haven't been here.
Okay, they've been 3 places high. I think on points. On actual points, they're gonna probably finish, and we're gonna probably finish in the same place that they were. You know what? I'll actually look it up right now. How many points?
I've got Arsenal's finishes in front of me. I've got.
Why did Ange not bring on Dane Scarlett, the only number 9, when we needed a number 9 to score a goal against Man City? Why did he not bring him on?
He decided against it. Are you gonna tell me that Dane Scarlett would have changed the game and won us the game?
No, I'm saying he's a number 9, and we didn't have a number 9 on the pitch, and he's the only number 9 in the squad, and he didn't bring him on. And we were 1-0 down.
Here's the thing, Stelios. I'm gonna say this and this thing only. Ange it understands the game of football more than I do, more than everybody in this panel does.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay, that's one thing I'm gonna say.
I disagree.
I need to call you out for this.
Call me out.
Because a thing you do that genuinely just grinds my gears is you'll dismiss his coaching experience in Scotland and in Japan, and you'll bring up your own coaching experience in wherever the hell.
I don't dismiss his experience. No, I dismiss his decision making at Spurs.
Okay, why? You're
because it's shit.
He's making
rubbish.
decisions through a lens that you don't know.
Because it doesn't work.
Please, one at a time, please.
Arian, I dismiss his decision making at Spurs because it's not working. And there's obvious things that I see that if he was just to do it, it makes us harder to beat and makes it better for the players we've got in this team.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Right. When people come out, this isn't just you, Aaron. A lot of people use this. When people start failing in their debate, they fall upon. But they're a professional and you're not. Whichever way.
That's not my defense. I just wanted to call Stella out for this specific thing for a while.
But Aaron, I hear this all the time. This whole kind of thing. You started this by saying Ange knows more than everyone on this panel. Sure.
Yeah,
right? He's a professional coach. Sure. Right? If that was the answer for every football debate, no manager could ever be talked about by their fan base. Right? No manager would ever be sacked.
Right.
I bring you back to my point, Arian, that you didn't answer. Why are all ex-top players, coaches, managers, pundits, why are they all looking at Spurs and saying, we're a tactical mess? Why are all of those guys that know just as much, if not more than Ange, why are they saying it then, Arian? It's not just Savva and his channel are saying it. Glenn Hoddle, our greatest ever player, said Spurs are a shambles, right? Harry Redknapp said he's just too wide open. He's got to shore it up. Every person, Arian, can see it. But we've got half our fan base that go, no, I see what he's doing. When I ask for evidence of that, I haven't heard a shred of evidence. I've heard hope. I've heard expectation. I don't hear a shred of evidence to say that he's doing well. Statistically, Aaron, we're on 1.22 points per game this season. Right. That is bloody disgusting, right? 1.22 points per game. Now, you say, yeah, but we had loads of injuries. We had 12 players out. We did. Cool. Yeah, sure. First of all, not all of them were first 11 players. Let's get that very clear.
Okay,
right?
I have the injury. I've been waiting for that one. I have the injury.
Arian, we all know. Arian, we all know the injuries.
We all know who is injured.
That's not my point. Let me finish. Okay. Let me finish. Right. My other point is, Brighton have had more injuries than Spurs this year. Brighton are sitting 10 points above Spurs, right? With a manager that can adapt from a back three to a back four, right? And he's about 28 years of age or whatever he is, right? Bournemouth.
Okay.
Bournemouth, right? Bournemouth have had so many injuries this season. I think they're just below us in the injury table, Bournemouth.
Yep.
They lost something like 1 in 15 Premier League games during their injury crisis. Why? Because their manager, Arian...
I'll tell you why in a minute.
No, you won't be able to tell me why, Aaron, because
I will.
Their manager...
incredibly easy.
You're going to say because they don't play twice a week.
No, I'm not, actually.
Right?
That would even be incredible.
Please tell me then, why can Iriola and Fabian Herzler, who are much younger, inexperienced coaches with lesser squads, small stadiums, lesser budget, how are they, during injury crisis, able to not lose nearly every week? But Ange, who you said's got loads of experience, can't.
Because, still, for some reason, you want to dismiss our injury. Oh, my bad. That one I can see you. Savva.
That's okay.
That one's on me. Because, Savva, you're dismissing our injuries as if our first teamers were not injured. Let me read our injury list to you, and I'll read Bournemouth in a minute. Here was ours. This is the one against Everton. Okay, here's our injuries against Everton. Brennan Johnson, our second top goal scorer. Yves Bissouma, Vicario, Romero.
You just said Bissouma was shit.
He is shit. He's also a first team player. But also,
I see.
Okay, you know what? I'll only read the ones that aren't shit. I'll only read the ones that aren't shit.
I like that one, Arian.
I'll only read the ones that aren't shit.
I'll only read the ones. No, I'll only read the ones that aren't shit.
No, read them all.
I'll read them all. Brennan Johnson, Yves Bissouma, Fraser Forster, Guillermo Vicario, Christian Romero, Destiny Udogie, Mickey Van de Ven, Rodrigo Bentancur, Dominic Solanke, Timo Werner, Wilson Odegaard. Okay. Let's just go with the ones that aren't horrible. That's Solanke, who is our best offensive player in my opinion. You've got Bentancur, who's the bar is not very high in midfield, but he's one of our better midfielders. Van de Ven, our best defender. Destiny Udogie, one of our best fullbacks.
But he's been terrible this season, Arian.
This is where it becomes disingenuous, Arian, right? Jed Spence has come in being better than Destiny Udogie at left back. Right. So when people say, but when Udogie comes back, well, what do you mean? He's not as good as the bloke he's going to be taking.
I'm not saying, when he comes back. I think the real fullback pairing at Spurs should be Destiny Udogie and Jed Spence.
Arian, the other three I'll give you. Solanke, Bentancur, Van de Ven. You get those.
And Romero. And Johnson.
You can have Romero if you want.
And Johnson. Is he not our top goal scorer?
He's a top goal scorer, yeah.
Okay. Right. So what is wrong with Brighton and Bournemouth's injury list?
I will tell you. Right now, as a matter of fact.
I want to see this because Bournemouth have done you can't. Bournemouth.
Yeah, I know what he's going to say straight away. He's going to say, but our players are more
important. So many of them are fringe players at Bournemouth.
Who?
Okay.
Hang on. Who? Tell me the fringe players.
This will be
good.
Senesi is a fringe player.
Senesi.
He's not a fringe player.
No,
he's not. Senesi's their number one centre half. No.
Hang on. Araujo. He's their not. Hang on.
No, Dean Howson came in only after Senesi got injured.
Hang on. Araujo's their cover at right back, okay? Araujo's their cover at right back. You go.
Hill and Smith.
Smith, their first team right back. Hill's their third choice right back.
The only credit that I will give Iriola is that his striker and his backup striker are injured.
Hang on.
Everybody else is a fringe player.
Sorry.
You've done a good job in missing people. Hang on. You're missing it. You've missed out Zaberni. You've missed out Zaberni. You've missed out Unal, Ivan Lisson, Ryan
on, I'll get
Christie's
it.
now out injured. This is mental.
This is what we do.
Can I interject here very quickly? Can I
Mad.
just destroy this whole injury this season situation?
Please.
Take out the first 10 games of last season and a league record since then, right? So we're talking about 28 out of 38.
What happened?
Hang on, Arian, hang on, just hear me out. Since the Chelsea game last season, and yes, for a few games we were without, I think we had two players suspended and 3 with longer term injuries, but it was just 3. Since the Chelsea game, we have played 55 league games.
Yes.
We have got 73 points, 1.33 points per game, translated into a 38 game season, gives you 50 points. Now, how you can, if you can big Ange up, since November last year, he is averaging 50 points in a season. And that's only because after players came back last season, we got 20 points from 10 games. There was a run up in
isn't that a little bit what proves my point? Because what happened after the first 10 games?
Right, hang on one second. Ange came in and he bought, starting with Maddison, Van de Ven, he brought in Solomon, he brought in Veliz, and then he went on and brought in Dragerson and Werner. He brought they cleared out an awful lot of established players, right? They brought in some really good kids, but they didn't bring enough established players to replace the ones they lost, right? The transfer strategy was so pear-shaped that we ended up with only 23 players instead of 25 in our Europa League squad. Now he is in charge of all of that. In terms of players and the players he wants, I've been told he signs off on everybody. Lange has been bringing players to him and he's not signing them off. I think the criticism of Lange actually is unfair. He is not signing off players. He wanted Gallagher the whole of last summer. Right, evidently, everybody was telling him. It was all over the press. Everyone was telling him.
Brought to him, and he did.
Gallagher he's a Chelsea fan. All his close mates are Chelsea. His family's Chelsea. There was no way he was ever going to leave Chelsea to come to Spurs. He wasted all that time when he could have been getting a replacement for a Højbjerg skip to come in. Okay, he had Maddison. He moved Kulu across. So for me, Lo Celso was replaced with Kulu coming in. But he also didn't want a 6. He's brought in 16 or 17 players up to this window, not one number 6. I asked David Pleat when I sat down with him at the end of October, what do you think of the system that Ange plays? And he said, with Mickey and Cutie at the back only, they've got an awful lot of width of pitch. They've got the whole width of the pitch to cover. And he rolled his eyes. You cannot play. Nobody has ever played a 2-5-3 system ever in the history of football. There has to be a reason why they don't do that. And I think what's happened, and I this shouldn't be a pile-on with you, Aaron, because you're entitled to your opinion, as all fans are. But I don't understand with all Ange fans why there is this total Ange cult of how great he is. He has won trophies in second and third rate leagues. He hasn't won in England. If you'd have come to me and said, like Amarin's won in Portugal, Ancelotti's won the lot. We had Conte and Mourinho that have been winning the Champions Leagues as well. Ange is nowhere near that level in terms of the leagues that he has managed in. So that's not his fault. He has managed in those leagues, and he finished up in Scotland at the age of 56. And for 2 years, he dominated Scotland. Celtic have got loads more money than anybody else, and you can play his system if you've got the best players, because ultimately you will outscore the other teams. But to come down to here, surely he has studied not just Premier League football but European football. And surely he understands the level of tactical acumen and the level of coaches that he is butting heads with here. And he has carried on playing this system, which is naive. To be polite, it's naive. You will play that. You play this system with under 11s, for heaven's sake. You know, we're going to score more goals than you. It's like when we went out in the park and we put down coats for goalposts. It's, you know, we're going to win this 21-20. It's ridiculous. You just cannot play in this system. There is so much that's wrong. His in-game management is appalling. His selections are dreadful. Gray only played the first 7 games because they were League Cup and Cup games. He actually didn't get his first starts until Southampton, which is when Romero and Van der Ven were both injured.
Yeah.
So I'm talking Premier League. His first, Rangers was his 8th, and he played most of the games since then because there's been an injury crisis.
Lubo, I think you've put that better than I think many of us could have. But can I just add on one thing that really frustrates me? This isn't about Arian. This is about loads of the fans that just say all this stuff about injuries and stuff. When you actually look at the facts and the stats and the data with and without the injuries throughout the whole 2 years that he's been here, it's not been good. The data is not good other than that first 10 games of the season. So when these people are saying, but injuries, but look at the first 12 games of this season. We lost 5 of those first 12 games, right? We didn't have any injuries. We couldn't beat Leicester. We lost to Ipswich. We lost to Palace. This is the problem. It's almost as though all of these things that happened with the players, right, we're only allowed to mention when it happens without them. My issue is this, and I want to get back to my point here, right, of when I said, why do Brighton still do well with the injuries? Why do Bournemouth, right? These players, these teams, I'll come to you in a second, Mikhail, right? Yeah. These teams are well set up. You watch Bournemouth play football, they are well drilled, right? Alan Shearer did a bit on this the other day, right? I don't know if you guys remember this, and sorry for the long-winded bit, right? Newcastle played Bournemouth at Newcastle, right? Bournemouth had 10 first-team players missing. And just so that we're not biased, because Arian only read out about half of them, these are the players they had missing when they went to St. James's Park. Now, bearing in mind, this is a team with a small squad, a 12,000-seater stadium, and that were favourites to get relegated last year. Araujo, Evan-Nilsson, Alex Scott, Senesi, Sinistera, Smith, Hill, Stolar, Tavernier, Unal, right? They were missing 10 first-team players when they went to Newcastle. And Alan Shearer did a bit on Match of the Day when I said, how have they done it? And he went, because look how organised they are. He said, you bring in this player, the drop-off from the player, from player 1 to player 2, or from first team to backup, may be big. But the system means that person can slot straight in. They know their job. It's kept nice and simple. They do what they do. When you look at Spurs, it doesn't matter who's playing. Van der Ven and Romero both played against Brighton where they tore us apart. Van der Ven and Romero, right? They did, didn't they? They both played against Brighton.
Yeah, but I mean, a second half capitulation is one thing, and then it's not like we got dominated the whole game. But for the first half, they looked like the amateur team. I think that's relevant, though. Is it not?
But Arian, but the point is, it wasn't just Brighton. If you let me finish, it wasn't just the Brighton game. Yeah. Right. They were both playing in multiple games down the last 2 years where Spurs have been torn apart because it's not them. It's not them two at the back. It's the system. The system means whoever plays at centre-back will be totally exposed, right? And Aaron, I've got to show you this, right? Sorry, guys, everyone's in the chat. I've got to show you this. I'll ask you this, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at these pictures here, right?
Right.
This was all from one game against Liverpool. If you look in each of these images, we've got 2 centre-backs and everyone else is rushing back to help them.
Right.
It doesn't matter that those 2 centre-backs were Davis and Gray. If that had been Van der Ven and Romero, you've still left every single player Liverpool have pouring forward against 2 defenders. This is what happens game after game after game. For some reason, people that have your mindset don't want to see how tactically naive the manager is. It's easier to say, well, when the players come back, because Stell made a great point. missing against Man City, right, was the two centre halves and Solanke.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with how wide open we are in midfield and at fullback every single game. And that game demonstrated it.
That game demonstrated how poor we were in the first half, and also the fact that they were poor in the second half, and we should have scored. Yeah, I could say I could flip it. No, but I could flip it around. Stell in the first half said we should have been 4-0 down in the first half. Absolutely right. It was shambolic. We could have scored 2 or 3 in that second half. So why can't I say that?
So could they. That's
In
the
the
thing.
second half? Absolutely not.
Arian, in the second half, they had a perfectly good goal disallowed. That's 2, right? And they had loads of other chances. Arian,
They did not have loads of it. They had that chance.
No, Arian, that's not true. They didn't have that chance. Right? This is the problem, Arian. This is the problem. For Man City, this is an anomaly. What you saw the other night is an anomaly, the way they played in the second half. What you saw with Spurs...
not really an anomaly this season, right? But
not really this season.
Season,
okay. If we're going to be pedantic, sure, right? But this is Ange's way of playing. This is Ange's style every game, Arian. The first 10 minutes against Ipswich, look how wide open we are.
7 minutes. 7 minutes. It could have been 3 down in 7 minutes.
This diabolical Man United team had 17 chances against us. We just let them walk through us. Surely, Aaron, you see it. Every game we play, we are wide open. Hoffenheim, how many chances did Hoffenheim have against? Like, it's every game, Arian. Surely you see
even
this isn't a one-off.
Ipswich, to be fair, had a load of chances when we beat them the other day. I mean, they had chance after chance. They
had more shots than City.
Can I?
Ipswich had 17 shots. City had 12.
But everyone, Lubo, the point is, every single team we play does this to us. That means it's not the players that are out. It is the style of play. This was happening before the injuries. It's happening after the injuries. And it was happening during the injuries. It doesn't matter who plays. This is his style. And for some reason, we're not allowed to just say that. We have to say excuse 1, excuse 2, excuse 3, excuse 4. I don't get why we can't just admit how bad we are.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, sorry, man.
One thing I really don't like about this whole like injury talk, right, is when people mention the injuries, right? Not a dig at you, right? And you and Perchi, right? No, I'm actually digging at Perchi and Savva a bit, right? Just because Bournemouth and Brighton have injuries doesn't mean that our injuries don't affect us, right? I think we should distinguish between those 2 points, right? Whether their injuries impact them in their own way, right? Brighton aren't as good as they should be because of the injuries. Same thing with Bournemouth, who, when they got injuries for first couple of games, they've been getting results. But if you look at their form recently in the league, I'm not saying they are as bad as us, but it affects them, right?
But wait.
I'm making my point still, right? I'm making my point. For me, right? Injuries, I'm not using them as an excuse, but I think they impact the way we can rotate and they impact the way we can change games, right? And whether we treat Odobert and this guy and that guy and the other guy as part of the team, right? Just because they are available, there is a chance that they come on and do something, right? So if you have 13 first team injuries or like first team or like squad injuries, whatever you want to call them, right? If you miss those players and keep playing like 15 players, I think it was, right? Because we went through the squads on one of your shows, Savva, right? And you said that in this game, those guys played, right? But overall, I feel like we rotated the same like 15 to 16 players with odd one, like under 21 player here and there, right? I think in the long run, it affects your performances, right? It affects the stamina of the players and all that stuff, right? So I don't want to dismiss the injuries point completely, even if it's not literally 11 first team players, right? Because I agree with you. I think the only players that really make an impact in this squad for me were Van de Ven, Romero, Vicario, and Solanke, right? That got injured. For me, all the other players that were injured, we can substitute with other different, like under 21s or the sub players come in and the drop off isn't there, right? For me, only those 4 players is where the real drop off is, right? So for me, the worst thing, right, and why I criticized Ange, even though he had the injury injuries, right? Because I said as if like the injuries excused him completely from the performances, right? For me, there was a drop-off because of the injuries, right? But the drop-off wasn't big enough for me to lose some of the games he has lost in the manner he has lost them, right? So when I look at our team right now and our point tally, right, which is 33, and just as an example, guys, right, I will tell you this, just as an example, right? And some of those games happened without the injuries, right? But Leicester at home, Leicester away, Ipswich at home, and Brighton where we were 2-0 up, right? Just take those 4 games into consideration and
11 points.
imagine, 11 points, right? If we won them, we would be on 44 points, right? Which is what, like 6th, I think, right? In the mix with all those other teams, right? This is my criticism of Ange, right? This is my criticism of Ange because as much as I appreciate the fact that those injuries impacted the team, right? I don't think they impacted the team enough to lose at home to Leicester, right? A Leicester team that lost 11 out of last 12. The only win was against us, right? An Ipswich team that hasn't won for a whole season, they came to our ground and won against us, right? This is my issue, and this is why I lost faith with Ange, right? On top of like other like midfield holes, the fullbacks pushing up, right? But in general, I think his squad management and the fact that he stuck so high with his philosophy and his approach to game, even though the squad clearly couldn't handle that, right? Because of the injuries, he didn't adapt, right? I said about the philosophy. I said that I agree with it partially, right? Like I agree with the approach, right? But for me, there is no benefit in forcing an injury ravaged, however we want to call it, right, squad to play this style of play where it clearly doesn't work and means you lose every single week, right? That's how I look at it, and this is why I lost faith with him, right? So in general, the point was, right, I appreciate the injuries point. I agree with it. I agree that it impacts us, right? But I don't want it to be an excuse for some of the performances, right? Because when Newcastle comes to you, a fully fit Newcastle, right, that is also on form, comes to our ground and beats us 2-1, right? I feel bad at that point a bit for the manager, right? And we had the whole food poisoning thing on top of the injuries, I think, that game, right? So at that point, I felt bad for him, right? Because I don't think there is much he could have done to try and fight against Newcastle, right? But when we lose to Ipswich or Leicester at home, then I'm looking at him like, mate, what the fuck are you doing, right? Why are we losing to Leicester at home, right?
Yeah.
This Leicester team that's getting kicked around every single.
It's even
ground
worse,
they go
Michael,
to,
with
right?
the Ipswich team.
But
Even worse losing at home to Ipswich. I mean,
Yeah,
they hadn't
because
won a game all season,
but
and they come to our ground and they go and win.
all of those teams down the bottom. But I want to sort of pick up what Mikhail said here.
Yeah.
Isn't it a damning indictment, though, of our football club at the moment? That you said about you did this in the sense of Brighton and Bournemouth, for example. Brighton and Bournemouth it doesn't affect them as much as it does with us. Isn't that a real damning indictment?
Definitely.
It's a damning indictment of our football club that the second we lose a couple of players, but by the way, I don't agree with it, because in the sense of tactically, Tottenham Hotspur, no matter if we were full strength or we had 11 first team players out injured, the same thing happens.
Yeah, so
defensively we're rubbish. And the reason why I say that, because it's ironic, isn't it? Look at the players that have come in. We probably are better players, right? Could say Archie Gray's had a good game, good games. When Fraser Forster came in for Peries, he started off doing well. He had a couple of howlers, but who was the other fella that came in?
Brandon Austin.
Huh?
Dragusin, Austin, right? Kinski. Yeah.
Percy, can I back your point up? Percy, can I back your point up? I know Arian said earlier.
Quickly reiterate my point, right? I would feel bad for the injuries, right? If we won the games we are supposed to win and lost the games against better teams, right?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. So lose at home to Newcastle, fair enough, right? I like the injuries impact you in this fixture, right? But lose at home to Leicester, right? And like draw with Wolves, who were 19th when we played them, right? Those are the games I cannot forgive, right? And this is for me where the injury argument doesn't work, right? This for me is where like the drop off from Vicario to Forster or Austin or whoever played, right? It's not big enough so that, like, based on that injury, you are allowed to lose against Leicester, and I'm not going to criticize you for the performance, right? This is how I look at it, right? So,
Mikhail, that's a brilliant way of looking at it, right? And probably more reason than me. Listen, the problem is I'm at the stage where I think I've seen so much of this man. This is the worst manager I've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur. Right, 40 years of being a fan, I've never seen a manager get so much love for being so shit. I've never seen a manager get so many excuses made for him with absolutely no evidence to back it up at all. I'm just so fed up of this manager. For him to keep his job, he has to win the Europa League, right? Because if not, we're looking at our worst season, factually, guys, since we got relegated in 1977. So people can come on and tell me all day long, but we play better football. We score goals. But the facts don't say that. Mikhail, you're right. Yeah.
But just can I add something to that further after?
If this team was beating Leicester City at home, shush.
We can't even.
If this team was beating Leicester City at home, that every other team in the Premier League is beating easily right now. If this team was beating Wolves, who were bottom 3 at the time at home, if we were beating Ipswich at home, then you could turn around, like Mikhail said, and say, well, look, the evidence is that when these players are all fit, look how good we are. The problem is there's no evidence that when all the players are fit, that we're good.
Sav, the one thing to add to this, is the fact that the evidence is there in terms of how much we actually run. So people have got to question Ange for his training methods and how these players keep getting injured, because we've never seen this many injuries in a single season. Like we had 16 players out at one point, right? And if you look at, I can't remember if it was you, Sav, you had it on one of your shows once where you had a stat of the running stats in the Premier League, right? And then Tottenham were like in the stratosphere compared to everyone else. And that 100% has to contribute towards the injury issues that we've been having. And that is again questionable for this is the one. Yeah, this one. Yeah. That is again it's so questionable because we're like completely out of everyone else's like surroundings, and we've had the most injuries nearly all season, basically, for a sustained period as well. So like that for me is another massive question mark on him and how he's managing it. And also, how many times have we heard this season that players have been rushed back, or the players have said, "Oh yeah, we're ready," but the medical staff have said, "No, they're not ready," and then they go and play them, and then they get injured again for like another month. And it's there's no.
Danny,
it's also the medical team.
Didn't Perchie make let me bring you in, Lubo. Didn't Perchie make a wonderful point? All of this talking about the players that are injured. Our better performers in the last 3 months have been the players that came in to replace them.
The kids.
So Jed Spence has been 100%. Our best player for months. He plays because there's an injury. Archie Gray's played well. He wouldn't have played without the injury. The players that have let us down. The players that have let us down are the first team. The players that have let us down are the players that have let us down are the first team players that are fit in the 11 at the moment. They're the ones that are letting us down. It's the Kulus, the Suns, the Basumas, the Bentancurs. Like Perchie said, look at Dragoshin. Bearing in mind, Arian said, this guy's shit. This guy's shit. All of our best wins this season have been when Radu Dragoshin has been playing, right? So none of our better wins this season have been with Van de Ven and Romero. Our better wins have been
hardly had games with Van de Ven and Romero.
But no, Arian, we did have games.
Yeah.
Arian, okay. So at the beginning of the season, when we played Newcastle and Arsenal, Van de Ven and Romero played.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't win them.
Yeah.
We beat Villa with those guys. We beat City with Dragoshin. This is the thing. Twice. So it's the revisionism that they're not good. It's just because it suits your injury argument.
It's not revisionism. I don't rate Radu Dragoshin.
So then why are all the best games we won this season with him in the team?
He's an inconsistent player who plays well sometimes, but he's shit.
So is Romero. So is Romero.
So is Romero. Ship him off. I think Van de Ven is our best. I said Van de Ven's our best centre back for a reason, didn't I?
But don't you? So Arian, this is where I feel like we're going to disagree massively on this because
for a change.
Radu Dragoshin isn't a bad defender. He's crap in the eyes of everyone because everyone looks at it very tunnel vision wise. Because you've signed a centre half that hasn't got legs and preferably would play in a back three and doesn't want to be playing with his basically running against it, playing so high up the pitch.
That's more to the point. Actually, that's more to the point. That's more.
But this is that's my point. What I'm trying to get at. Notice when we had good games with Radu Dragusin at the back. I thought it was brilliant when we played Man City, and I thought it was brilliant against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Notice tactically how we played differently than we would normally play with them two. What do? We didn't sit on the halfway line and allow us to be cut open like so easily. What you do is you play your centre halves to your best abilities. Basically, you think he's shit. He is in these tactics. If Radu Dragusin was playing for Nottingham Forest right now, you'd be saying, go and get him in the summer.
No, I wouldn't.
Because Nuno would get him playing in a back line that would allow him to play to his strengths, a bit like Nikola Milenkovic in a similar style. Now, you think he's shit because of the tactics that we play. That's why. Let's be fair with it. That is the reason.
I think
okay,
here's what I think. I think he could be. I think he'd be better. I do think he would be better in different tactics. I think he's an already shit player who's being made to look even shitter.
He's not. No, Arian. He's not.
Arian, wait a minute, Arian. You don't play for your country on many occasions if you are a shit player.
But also, Lubo, you don't get linked to have a battle with Bayern Munich if you're a shit player.
Eric Dyer signed for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I get that, Arian. But the thing is, what you have to understand, right, and just with Dragusin, I don't think he's a great player, not at all, right? But he's an old school defender. He's good in the air. He just wants to defend. That's what he wants to do. But the problem is that's not the way Ange plays. It doesn't fit the system and style that he's trying to implement. Yeah,
Lubo, can I ask you a question?
You know what? It screws a lot of our players. That's the thing. It screws a lot of our players.
I agree.
Lubo, you're somebody who's got all the information. Can you tell me the last big game against a top 10 team we won with Van der Ven and Romero playing together at the back? By the way, I'm not saying Van der Ven and Romero aren't good. I'm just saying there's this notion. It seems to be this massive notion that without Van der Ven and Romero, the defense falls apart. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if anyone can do this off the top of their head. Who was the last top 10 team we beat with Van der Ven and Romero playing?
Who was the last top 10 team we played with Van der Ven and Romero playing is a better question.
They've only played. They have since the injury against Man City at the end of October. The only time the two guys have played together, I think, was for about 15 minutes, was at home to Chelsea.
Yeah.
We're
2-0 up, by the way.
You're going back. You're now going back to at least October. So you're talking about. I mean, October. The only win in October was in the league was West Ham.
Right.
Man United, possibly.
Well, no, Man United are a bottom half team. That's what this is my point. Who was the last good team? Who was the last good team? Even if
there hasn't been this season.
Not this season.
Right. So, but this is my point. Now go back to the back end of last season, guys, where we lost to Newcastle, lost to Chelsea, lost to Man City.
I'm actually going through it now. I'll tell you.
Right. So
here you go. Hang on, I've got it. There you go. The last time, I think someone actually put it in the chat, the last time we won a big game with Van der Ven and Romero was the 10th of March last season when we beat Aston Villa 4-0 away.
So 357 days ago.
More or less, yeah, nearly.
Sure, but the sample size is completely skewed because we've hardly played with them.
No, but Arian, but the sample size isn't because since that game.
Hold on, can I ask a question? Would you count Bournemouth as a top 10 team? Because we beat Bournemouth in the beginning of the season 3-1, and Van der Ven and Romero are both playing that game. That was the 29th of September or something like that.
No. That was United. Bournemouth. We played once and we lost 1-0. We're playing them next Saturday.
Oh, sorry, not Bournemouth, Brentford. Sorry, Brentford.
Yeah, we beat Brentford. Are we now considering Brentford a top side? By the way,
Brentford.
Savva said top 10.
Brentford are bottom half.
Oh, they're bottom half now. Okay,
Right,
fair
Brentford.
enough.
So I'm asking from the top 10. Arian again has said this thing, which is with heart, not head. The sample size is small. Look at the back half of last season and the first 12 games of this season. Look how many games Van der Ven and Romero played together. My point is this: every excuse is when Van der Ven and Romero are back, but that doesn't actually work factually. Because when Van der Ven and Romero are there, all these teams are beating us anyway. So this is what I don't understand. When we're going, look at this injury list. Well, we're losing those games anyway.
And just to sort of dispel this sample size thing is rubbish. Since that Aston Villa game, do you want to know the games that Van der Ven and Romero played and we lost? Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City. Then it was, if we're saying top side, Newcastle again, Arsenal again.
Chelsea,
Brighton, we lost
Chelsea
to,
again.
and Chelsea again. I think that
This
was
is
all of them. I
what I
might
mean.
have missed them. So this notion that the sample size is small isn't. Statistically, when Van der Ven and Romero play, we don't win big games of football. And by the way, I'm not blaming them, but this notion that all of a sudden Dragoshin is shit because people on Twitter say he is. Like, that's basically what it is because people on Twitter say he's shit, and
Who
everyone
have we
says
beat this
Romero's
season?
amazing.
Who have we beat this season with Radu Dragoshin in defence?
we've beaten Villa and City.
City twice.
Yeah.
So we beat City twice and Villa with Radu Dragoshin playing in the back
Hang on,
four.
there was
Is that right?
someone else.
So this is what I mean.
Liverpool in the cup, by the way. We beat Dragoshin was in when we beat Liverpool in the cup.
We haven't lost to Arsenal. We haven't lost to Arsenal 3 times in a row since the 80s. And under Ange, we've lost 3 times in a row. And in 2 of those games, Van der Ven and Romero started.
So Arian, do you see what we mean now? Like,
I do.
If you look at all of this information, you know, I keep hearing when Solanke's back. All right, well, Solanke wasn't pulling up trees when he played. You know, when the doggy's back, well, the doggy's not better than Spence. When Bentancur's back, well, Bentancur's been back and we still look awful. When, you know what I mean? When this player's back, when Vicario's back, when this, I don't get it. Like, what are we basing this on? There's no. There's no evidence. You see,
can I add something to this conversation? Right, I want to add something to this conversation. Arian, I'm going to back you a little bit here on this one, but not a lot, of course not. But he
loves it.
Well, listen, Arian told me because I've got no coaching experience like Ange. What do I know? Yeah, I knew not to sign Werner, and Ange said, "Yeah, go on then." But anyway, that said, I wasn't wrong, was I? The thing I wanted to say is, I think what's going on at Spurs between fans, like most of us here, and Arian, you, on this particular show, you are the exception. I mean, if Sim was here, you'd have some very strong backup because Sim's deluded as well. I think what it is.
I do ask them still. I do ask everyone who opposes.
They'll come one day. They'll come one day. I think what it is this. Those that don't believe in Ange, it's because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen any form of consistency from this manager, whether it's style of play or making us hard to beat or back-to-back wins. We haven't seen anything to say, yeah, this is the guy. Whereas I think, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, Arian, fans like yourself, Arian, you've seen glimpses that makes you think that it could become something regular, but because we haven't seen regularity, we're not sold. And I don't think we ever will be until that happens. Do you think that's kind of where it's at with Spurs fans? You see glimpses which makes you think, yeah, there's a project here.
Of what's happening. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. Just I sat back and listened for about 30 minutes, and I think that's where I'm at with it now. I think the Ange lot, you've seen moments which makes you think it's going to be something bigger, whereas for us, most of us tonight here, because I do feel sorry for you, Aaron. It is a bit of a Zelensky in the White House moment tonight. Arian Zelensky.
Arian sticks up for himself, and I think it's
He does.
He's gone to Ange out away.
I want to do some super chats. Just before we do, I think the key thing for me is what you just said there, Stel, is we've all seen the glimpses. right? But the problem is that's the anomaly. The norm is what we normally see, right? And this is the thing. Unless those glimpses start becoming the norm, we've got to stop pretending that this play is sustainable. All the top pundits and coaches out there have all said this style of play isn't sustainable. And as Lubo said, why do no managers play this way? Why have no successful managers in the world of football that win massive things? Why don't they play this way?
If it's not worked, still, if it's not worked after 55 league games, when is it going to work? Seriously.
Do you know what it is? For me personally, and I'm just speaking for myself, I'm not talking on behalf of Ange out or no one like that. I personally, I need to see Spurs consistently, even if we lose, not be so wide open. And for that tightness, that more compact, not giving away acres of space on the pitch because we're high risk, high reward. From being a bit more compact, not giving away the space to then control games of football. If I see that and we still lose, then I can say, do you know what? This is on the players. This really is on the players because we're playing in a way which is solid. We're playing in a way that doesn't give other teams acres of space to rip us open. And we are in control of games. We don't have the quality. We just don't have quality. But the problem is we don't control games. We are wide open. And you sit there thinking, what am I watching a lot of the time? And I just need to see that. And I haven't seen it from Ange. I haven't seen that.
To get a bigger picture as well, Arian, who are the teams that you've seen during your life, football teams that you admire, that you think, wow, what a team that was? For me, I'm old. Brazil 1970 were fantastic, but bringing it to this century.
Fucking hell, none of us were born, mate.
Barcelona of 2009, 2011, I thought were just fantastic. The way the tiki-taka football was absolutely brilliant. They brought the curva training, coaching from Holland's 70s total football. They added to that. They were absolutely wonderful. Who are the teams that you look at, Harry, and you think, wow, I wish Spurs could play like that?
The teams that I kind of, to be honest, I didn't grow up watching the greatest football ever because I was born in Iran, so most of the things I watched were national team, like the Persian national team, which wasn't great. But I think when I started really getting into football and watching the Premier League, the team that I thought was the best to watch and I loved to watch was Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. I loved Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. I think the intensity they played with, the desire to I've never seen a team that was always good at 90 minutes. They're the team that people still sometimes I hear, oh, they were on inhalers or whatever because they were just inhuman, and that's what I loved about them so much. And I think that the intensity of Ange Ball is kind of maybe it's the remnants of Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool that I'm so attached to it. Maybe that's one explanation.
Interesting point. Interesting thing that Ped said to Spence coming off the pitch on Wednesday. Why do you guys run so much? Very telling, very, very telling comments.
That's Pep saying, come to me. Carl Walker came and look what happened to him.
Genuinely, I was saying to Ben, if he keeps up this form, I'm telling you, some top club is going to buy him because of his quality, right?
Danny City will come.
Yeah, of course they are. He's good on the ball. He's good at both left back, right back. He's really good defensively as well. He's like your modern day kind of fullback, really. He's epitome of what,
to Istanbul,
what
my
you
friend.
want.
Comes to
Yeah,
Istanbul.
or Real Madrid or Liverpool. I'm telling you, Jed Spence will have the pick of the bunch in a year's time. Genuinely.
Let me do some super chats, as I've tried to say for the last 10 minutes in the private chat. Let me do some super chats, then we'll get back to Tottenham Hotspur. Big up to A User. Thank you very much. We said, not convinced we're going to get far in the Europa League. What have we done, Steen, that gives us any hope? Ange Ball will kill us. We are wide for a 7-4-7 landing. A User, I'm on the same page. I haven't seen anything. I think we've been absolutely crap in Europe and in the Cups and in the league. So I'm not sure what anyone's seeing. But if he wins it, happy days. Big up to you, A User. A User's come back in again and said, Ange didn't rate Jed. Happy to sell. Read the receipt. Big up to you again. Jamie Allen has come in and said, Spence will be on the bench again on Thursday. I mean, from the excuses I've heard from all the Ange fans, Jed Spence has got to start against Alkmaar. If he doesn't, then it just goes to prove what Danny said earlier about.
I will say this: if he doesn't start Jed Spence against Alkmaar, that will be enough for me to really, because I think that would just be a decision that is.
I was about to ask you that question, Ariel. I was about to ask you.
If he benches,
Porro and Spence, or Spence and Udogie?
I would do Spence and Udogie. But
that's what I would do.
If he 100%. Genuinely goes out and plays a back line that has the full back pairing of Porro and Udogie, I will Savva, I will ask you to go live before the game, and I will say, I apologize, I was wrong. Everything, I swear to God, I'm serious. If he does that, I will look like the biggest clown.
Do you know Arian?
Savva, get him on speed dial. Set him up on the speed dial.
He can see you say that. He's going to do it for you.
Okay? Genuinely, if he does that, I will come in here, I will say, I was wrong. Everything, I apologize to Ian, I apologize to Virgie, I apologize to Michael, I apologize to Stelios, to Danny, to Savva. If he does that sincerely, and I'm not saying it because I know for sure he won't. Yeah. If he does that, it's inexplicable. It's a disgrace if he benches Spence. It's absolutely, he should be sacked if he does it. I will say all of that right there.
Let Savva do the super chat.
Sure, Harry, whether it is Thursday.
No. Guys, the super chats is where I read out for the people paying to have things read out, not for everyone to debate every super chat.
You love the shit.
Super chats. They're called super chats. Super chats.
Limbo, man.
Those YouTubers that just glosses over them. Big up Mark Taylor, who's been a channel member for 7 months. He said, just admit this project under Ange hasn't worked. It's bloody awful. Mark, I'll admit that to you. Don't you worry about that. But we will look a bit silly, Mark, if he does win the Europa League. Mark Sheriff, who's been a channel member for 13 months today, big up to you, said the worst manager I've seen in my 50+ years of supporting Spurs. Big up to you, Mark. A user's come back in again and said, Conte said the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium should be considered a fortress for anyone to come here and play, and just turned it into a brothel. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, guys, because it is 7 defeats at home this season, which is utterly embarrassing. Big up to you, our user. And then the last super chat here was from Artist T. Big up to you, Artist. As said, I'm going to say it. I think Alkmaar knocks us out. I disagree with you. I think we go through. In cup competitions, it's always been the small clubs. Remember Sheffield United and Middlesbrough. Well, we're going to move on to the Alkmaar game now, Artist T, as long as everyone's okay for time. Before we do, guys and girls, there's been hundreds and hundreds of you watching this. Only 176 have smashed the like button. So please do smash that like button. And I had about 20 robot account removed, troll bots removed today from my sub. So I need you to get back on. Subscribe to me, please, guys, as we're trying to get to 17K. So if anyone hasn't subscribed, please do. And please subscribe to everybody else that is on the panel here. Guys, I want to talk about Alkmaar, and then we're going to talk about some of our form. Just to let it sink into the back of your minds for a little bit that, you know, since Ange has been at this football club, he's played 65 league games and lost 26 of them in less than 2 seasons. He's lost 14 games this season. We've lost 7 games at home. But I want to talk about Alkmaar. Does anybody... I think we go through. I think this is a game we should be winning over 2 legs. I'm not worried.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Is anyone concerned by Alkmaar? They've had some good results this year. They've knocked out... They've beaten Roma. I think they beat Galatasaray. I wasn't that impressed when I saw them.
I'm going to say it now, Sad. I'm going to say it now. If we lose to Alkmaar, for me, that's the worst result out of Ange's tenure at this club.
Obviously.
If we get knocked out by Alkmaar, that is by far the worst two games we could possibly have under this manager, in my opinion. Because no, 100%. Because this is the best chance Spurs have got to win a trophy, especially a European trophy. If they focus on this, this is the best chance. And I'm not saying they're going to win it, but there's no excuses. There is no excuses for it. I'm sorry.
Danny, 0-0.
Archie Gray will play in, all right? Calm down.
0-0 after 90 minutes with Tamworth.
Yeah.
We'll
That-
probably.
I
We'll
forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
for all of them.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Not
This
seen
will be
as
the
the
worst.
worst result that Ange has. That was
This is
great.
guys. Isn't it one of the worst results in like this century or something, right?
I mean,
'Cause-
we went out of the Europa League to Zagreb, and after being 2-0
Yeah.
up, so I wouldn't say.
But
it's
you-
Oh,
but you
yeah,
know,
but Zagreb on Tamworth.
yeah, but
Yeah, I
these
was gonna
Zagreb are
say.
like
I thought I was
professional
talking about the
players,
Alkmaar
right?
result.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
No, but you know the thing for me is the only way I see us losing that AZ Alkmaar tie is if we do a Galatasaray, go to their ground and lose like 4-0 because of a red card.
I mean, they gave us a. Was it at our ground or was it at their ground? When
Yeah,
it was the 1-0?
at our ground we won 1-0.
They gave us.
We
I
had
mean,
like
we got. It's pretty shit
I just-
game that.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I just think, look, we should be beating AZ Alkmaar over 2 legs. There should be
Absolutely.
no excuse.
100%.
If we don't, that should be the game where everyone collectively there should be no
Yeah.
one in there
They
going,
won't.
oh well,
They
it's
won't.
because of this, because of that. Because do you know what's the one thing I'm kind of happy for is we have got our players back, because then there's no more excuses, right? There can't be. The excuse was we've lost our players. Now players are back. We lose to AZ Alkmaar, you should be sacked on the spot. You
Look, I
shouldn't be-
said it in the very beginning of this live stream, right? If Ange
No, I know you
is
did. I'm not saying. I wasn't saying
Yeah.
it directly.
No,
to
I
you,
know.
But the excuses for this manager are unwavering of excuses, and I sit back and I go, surely everyone in the fan base must be going, yeah. If we get knocked out to AZ Alkmaar, time to go, right?
I said
sure
in the
think
very
it is-
beginning, if Ange is what I give him credit for, what I'm sitting here and I'm defending him against 6 people saying he's this, that, and the other. If Ange is what I say he is, he should be winning this cup. And if he doesn't, I will have been proven wrong about everything I've said up to now. That's what I'm. So if we go, yeah.
For me, there's no way he's winning this trophy. There's just no chance, because one good European manager with a good, decent, well-drilled group of players will beat Spurs. Whether it's a final, semi-final, quarter, they will beat Ange. That's why we're not going to win it. As for AZ Alkmaar, we will go through, because the second leg's at White Hart Lane, and if need be, that home advantage will get us over the line if it goes tits up in the first leg. I'm not at all worried about this game, guys. I look at this, okay, we might have a little scary moment. I think we knock them out. I really do. I think we're just going to knock them out. No problem.
I agree.
I don't think it's a tough game for us.
Anybody? Does anybody think? Okay, over the 2 legs. Anyone think we're going out?
No.
Not 2 legs. A one-off game, you never know, but
yeah,
2 legs.
one-off game, I think. Yeah. Listen, unless something mad happens, as I said, right? But then listen, you can make that argument for every single football game ever played, right? If we get 3 red cards and get slapped
2 red
6-0
cards or
away,
something
right?
like that,
Then
Yeah.
yeah, of course we go out, right? But I think if it's played on normal terms, I think even if you lose like by 1 goal away, I think just because they are a Dutch team that, like, Dutch teams have this thing of playing their own style of play. I'm not saying they aren't capable of just low blocking it and playing on a counter, right? I think they will do that when they come, but I don't think it's ingrained in like the philosophy of the club to be like super defensively solid and you know, and create a monolith that's unbreakable, right? So like Lazio, for example, if we play Lazio, right, in the semi-final, I am really concerned if we lose away, right? Because, or I think their first leg is at our ground, right? So I'm really concerned that they just come and completely stink out a 0-0, or even worse, catch us on the counter and win 1-0 away, right? Away for them, right? Whereas with like Dutch teams, I always have this thing of like, I see an opening, right? Because they aren't like so focused on defending, right? They will play defensively, but they aren't like, you know, it's not in their soul, or however you want to call it, right?
I think you've got to take, funny, that with these cup competitions, you've got to take each round on its merits. You know, if we get through against Alkmaar, I think it's 4 weeks until the quarterfinals. In those 4 weeks, every team's playing several games. You've got form, injuries, suspensions. Could affect anybody, and all of a sudden, what looks easy becomes difficult, and vice versa. So for me, it's just a question. Let's get through Alkmaar first. You don't also, if we get through, who's going out in the other games as well? Which, you look at it, if Bilbao go out to Roma, you're looking at it and nobody's saying, one-off game on their ground in the final, as has been mentioned tonight and other times. So I think it's just, you can't look further forwards. For me, it's just, let's get through Thursday. Let's see which players come back. They're talking about Solanke back from the second leg, and we have missed him. I know a few people say, he's, we don't rate him. But it's, for me, I think anybody really following Harry Kane is on a hiding to nothing. People are gonna think, oh God, he's.
He didn't follow Harry Kane. I just need Harry Kane to stop being mentioned in every single.
Did we have a centre forward last year? Who do we have?
That's not the point. He didn't. So he didn't follow Harry Kane, did he?
Well, Richie hardly played. He played 15 games or not. It's like,
surely we've got to stop mentioning Harry Kane's name at Tottenham.
No, but I'm just
club that does this. I don't know any other club that does this.
But to be fair, Savva, the reason is because when Man City lost Aguero, they got Haaland in immediately.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They
didn't.
No, they had Alvarez.
They used a false 9 for a season. They used a false 9 for a season and won the league still.
Yeah.
They had Gabriel Jesus, who was still on the bench because he was fucking shit, and they had the best team in the world, and they had Phil Foden, and then they brought in Erling Haaland, the best number 9 in the world, the season after. Okay.
Yeah, but I think whenever anybody uses Man City as an example of anything about Spurs,
do you think when Mo Salah leaves, no one's going to mention him at Liverpool? Do you think when Chelsea fans still talk about Eden Hazard?
Yeah, but there's a difference between talking about a player and using them as tonight. Lubo's just talked about it. You've talked about it. Well, to be fair, this manager 3 or 4 years ago, Kane. I hate to break it to you, and I'm going to break this news to everybody at Spurs. I hate to break it to you. I'll say it quietly, not to offend people. Ange Postecoglou never had Harry Kane. Yeah. He never had him. He didn't have him and lost. Hang on.
But that's the point.
The point I'm making, Solanke is compared.
Who's compared him? Nobody's compared him.
People step down from Kane. But he is doing a decent job. I've seen comments on here. Solanke's crap. What does he do? Okay. Solanke has been our biggest miss. Quite rightly said.
Solanke was injured. I heard it was Van der Ven. Before that, I heard it was McCart.
I thought what was said tonight. What you said, Sav, what you said tonight about the centre backs being left exposed because of the system. Doesn't matter which centre backs they are. Is absolutely spot on. Because you're leaving, as David Pleat said, you're leaving two centre backs totally isolated, covering the whole width of the pitch. So it doesn't matter which centre backs you've got; they're going to be left. They're going to be vulnerable to counter attacks. Sure. But Solanke, we have missed up front. There's no question about it.
Sure, I'm not saying we haven't missed him, but I don't feel like he's this great miss that was doing a lot before. This is the problem. Before he went out, what was he doing? There were so many games where it was like, oh, Solanke's playing, is he? Like, I feel like, look, when we're doing, if the reason why I say about the Harry Kane thing is he never had him. Ange didn't, look, when people go, oh, but he lost Harry Kane, he never had Harry Kane. Right? He came into Spurs.
I'm talking about the comparisons. That's all. Not talking about Kane and Solanke for Tottenham. I'm talking about the comparison. Fans look at Solanke. Fans, any striker coming in, unless we go out and spend God knows how much, every striker, we're going to be looking at players like we do for this team compared to Poch's team and say, oh, what a downgrade.
But we do. Anyone has actually sat there and compared them, though.
No one's comparing them.
I've never seen one person go, well, we're comparing Kane with Solanke. It's like
this is just not a productive conversation.
No. The point I'm making is that people think I think Solanke is a decent player.
He's decent. I think he's decent. I do. I don't think he's
alright.
great. I don't think he's shit. What did I say before he signed? You guys were all working with me before he signed. I turned around and said, he's okay. That was still, we worked together more than anyone. I said, didn't I? I said, he's okay. I don't think he's shit. I don't think he's great. I said, for 65 million, though, we've not scouted world football. For 65 million to come back with 60 million, 50, whatever it is, to come back with Dominic Solanke from across world football with that amount of money, I thought was really poor. He's okay. He works hard. Sometimes his hold-up play is great. Other times it bounces off him. I don't think he's a natural finisher. When you watch him in front of goal, he doesn't look like a natural finisher. But he's okay.
Who would you have signed with 65 million?
Who would I sign for 60 million across world football? Well, Santiago Jimenez has just gone for 30 million euros.
And he's not as good.
And he's not as... Oh,
no, not a chance.
Don't.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance.
What?
Not a single
Not
chance.
okay, Arian, based on what?
Based on anything. He was not even good for Feyenoord for a long time when we were linked with him, and we got Solanke instead. He had a very poor season. They started the season with Feyenoord. He's not been that good.
So what's Solanke done then? What's Solanke done then?
We look way better at attacking with Solanke in the team than without
That's
him.
not what I asked. It's not what I asked.
There's
What's
no
Solanke done?
facts behind it.
Do you want me
This
to?
is what I mean. Again,
Okay.
it's all like anyone you mention. This is what makes me laugh, right? If we had signed Santiago Jimenez, Perchi.
No,
Aaron,
when we were linked with him. No.
You would be
Genuinely,
you would.
Savva,
This is
I
what
can
you
show you
do.
DMs. I can show you DMs when we
I
were
don't
linked with
want DM.
Jimenez.
Yes,
well,
but the thing is,
I
Arian,
did
this
not
is what
want
happened.
Jimenez when we were linked with him. I really was.
Sure, but if he had signed for Spurs, this is what we do. Do you know what? This is the Werner disease from last year. Perchi and I did a show, right, on the channel, right, 4 days apart, right? Now, midweek, Man United, if anyone remembers, Man United were close to getting Werner on loan. But do you remember, Perchi? We were doing a show and going, oh my God, Man, you have stooped so low, they're going to get Werner. Everyone in my chat, hundreds, God, Werner shit. Perchi, fast forward 4 days to the Saturday when we signed him, and it was, oh, you guys are so negative. He's perfect for Ange. But Arian, this is what fans do. But on what world is Solanke better than Santiago Jimenez?
What do you?
What?
What fans do is on what world is Jimenez better? Jimenez is not a good footballer at all.
What?
I've never watched. I've watched games of Feyenoord with him playing, even the ones where he scored. I'm not impressed by him at all. I'm genuinely not. And he's gone to Milan. He's not gonna pull up any trees at Milan. He scored 2 goals.
Is Solanke pulling up trees at Spurs?
Solanke's not world class, but he's better than Jimenez. I'll tell you that.
That's not. No, but again, Aaron, we've got to do this thing that when I ask you a question, the answer.
He's not pulling up. Okay, do you want me to give you a yes? Okay. Is he pulling up trees at Spurs? No.
Yeah.
No, because he's not.
Why?
He's not in the Golden Boot race. That's why he's not pulling up trees. He's not in the Golden Boot race. But
Solanke scored 7 goals in 18. And what's?
And let me see how many Jimenez has scored then.
I'll do it. No, it's fine. I can do it now.
Jimenez has only just joined a new club.
Yes,
He's
in
gone to
8
AC
games,
Milan.
in eight games in all competitions, he scored 3 goals.
He scored
Okay.
2 and 4.
Yep.
Last season, by the way, he scored 16 goals in 19 appearances.
Yeah,
The season
Feyenoord.
before that, he scored 26 in 41. The season before that, he scored 23 in 45.
I
What are we
can
doing here?
look at all of that and tell you I do not care. I've seen this guy play enough times to know he is nothing special. He's nothing special.
Okay,
But you
so
rate
what we're
Solanke.
doing here.
Yes, I
this
rate
is
Solanke.
this is what hurts my head, Aaron.
Make a prediction. Okay, Savva, let's
Right?
make a prediction about his time in Milan. I'm happy to do it. What do you think he's going to do?
You know what? We could have bought Girassi. We could have bought Girassi for about 20 million.
Garassi he had a release clause for £18 million. I'd have had him.
There you go.
Would have been a
18
better
million.
I'd
signing, yeah.
I'd
Would have
have
been way better than
How much
Santiago
was
Jimenez.
Evan Nilsson?
30 million, I think.
Evan Nilsson?
Yeah,
Evan Nilsson. Here's the thing with Evan Nilsson. Actually, I thought Evan Nilsson was a good signing because I watched a lot of Porto when he was at.
do you know what? I'd have gone
I-
and signed Chris Wood, you know. I'd have signed Chris
my
Wood.
God.
Proper goal scorer, but not with these shit tactics.
You think Chris Wood is better than Dominic Solanke? Okay, you
Yeah,
know
he's
what?
had
As a
better
goal
career.
scorer,
Better
yeah.
than
As a goal scorer, yeah.
Oh my, I can't.
As a goal
Who's had the
scorer.
better career?
Who's had the better career?
Yeah, that's a
between
good question.
who?
Between Solanke and Chris Wood, the 2 players we're talking about.
It's a
Can
good
I
question, sir.
say, right? I've
Oh,
got no issue, right? I've got no issue with us signing Solanke. Okay, there's two caveats though. One, we paid over the odds. We paid way over the odds for him. And two, if you're going to sign a Solanke, fucking sign some top quality wide players, not the shit that we brought into this club. And I'm not talking about Johnson who scores tap-ins, a footballer that delivers when we need it. Because against Man City, what did Johnson do other than one good cross? Yeah. What did Odegaard do other than take on the man once? Because you know, and this is what I mean, Werners and Johnsons and Oddberts and Yangs and
everyone knows we need proper fucking wingers to this club.
Let's be fair.
Arian, that's my point. I've got Perchy, sorry, 1 second. I don't mind Solanke being at the club, but you've got to put some quality wide players around him.
But are we fair to say
we haven't done that? So what's the point of Solanke?
Fairness, right? In all fairness, is Solanke really just a one-season wonder?
No.
He had one good season last season, and we paid over the odds for a one.
But look at the way Bournemouth played, though. Look at the way Areola set up Bournemouth.
He's been good this season. He's not had a bad season.
We don't play to Solanke's strengths. Spurs don't play to Solanke's strengths.
Hang on. 1 second. You're saying he's. Do you know what I find funny, right? Exactly. And Aaron, you the archetypal Spurs fan that does this. Has Kai Havertz had a good season at Arsenal? Would you rate Kai Havertz?
No, he's
no. Because all hang on, because all of the hallmarks of what you're saying about Solanke is what Arsenal fans say about Kai Havertz, and everyone else says he's crap. Oh, he's good hold-up play,
but he isn't. His hold-up play isn't good.
Hang on. I know it's not, but this is my point. We judge players differently to other clubs in the world. Is Nicholas Jackson a good player?
He's decent.
He's decent, right? But this is what I hear. I hear all the time, right? I hear all the time with Solanke is we judge him. We can't judge Solanke on goals scored because of everything else.
No, you can't.
Everyone else we judge him differently.
No. I'm not saying don't judge Solanke by his goals. I think
what do we judge him on then? What's he good? What is Solanke good at?
This is why I said he's not pulling up trees. He isn't in the Golden Boot race. A striker who's at the top level should be in the Golden Boot race. And I think in a team like ours, who's scoring so many goals,
I don't think he should have been in the Golden Boot race. I said he would score 15, 16
I think
goals
at least 15. I think if he returns around 15 goals this season, I think it'd be a very good season. I think on top of the other things he brings to the game.
Guys, if Solanke this season wasn't at Spurs but was the number 9 for Bournemouth this season. What would Solanke be doing in everyone's opinion?
He would have scored a lot more than 7.
Well, I think he scores more goals. Does that make him Harry Kane level? No. But I think the issue with Solanke is one, he's playing in a system that stinks, and two, we don't have the wide inside forwards to complement him. When Liverpool had a front three, it was Mane, Salah, and Fabinho, right? Those three combined, they worked off each other. They were killers. We've got the worst. I think Spurs have got one of the worst front three combinations in the top 10. Like really bad. It's very poor.
But hang on. There's been many. Sorry, I've got to disagree with this. First of all, I'm going to show you. This is Dominic Solanke's career, right? Yeah. So when we're talking about he's better than Santiago Jimenez, who's about 5 years younger and pulling up goals in Champions League.
I don't agree with that, by the way.
I will tell you, Santiago Jimenez is not going to be anything special. I promise you that. I can promise you that.
No, right, Arian, we talked about this. You've got to stop using words like I can confidently say and I can. Arian, no, you. This is the problem. You can't. You can't. Arian, no one.
I can be wrong, but I can confidently tell you something. I can.
You can confidently.
Look.
Arian,
I'm confidently wrong.
You confidently told me earlier about how Ange's teams completely outscored Jose's teams, and there was no difference. So you can't confidently tell me you can
look,
feel
Savva,
it, right?
Savva, what do you want? What game are you playing at here? Like, because let me ask you something, okay? I've spoken to you enough to know that you're an intelligent person. So when I bring up something about how Mourinho had Kane, why is it that you write that off as if it's not relevant?
No. See, Aaron,
No,
you
no,
weren't
no, no,
listening.
no, no,
to
no, no.
me.
I said,
You-
why?
you didn't
let
listen
me, let me
then.
ask you something, Savva. For six
Go for
games, Jose Mourinho did not have Harry Kane, and he did not have Heung-min Son because Heung-min Son's arm was broken and Harry Kane had no hamstring.
Oh,
Do you know what we
Kane's
did in those
back.
6 games?
What?
Do you know what happened in those 6 games? Do you remember the period I'm talking about? For
I-
6
I-
games,
Guys,
it
can't
was
remember
right
last
before
week.
Mourinho's job was saved by COVID-19 because for 6 games we did not have Son because his arm was
Yep.
broken against Aston Villa, and we did
Sure.
not have Harry Kane
Sure.
because he tore his hamstring against Southampton. In those 6 games, we scored 1 penalty courtesy of Dele Alli, and we did nothing else.
Sure. So, Arian, let me tell you why, because I caveated this earlier for you, but you've not listened.
Mhm.
Jose Mourinho only had Son and Kane. The rest of his team was dreadful,
Sure.
right? Ange Postecoglou doesn't have a dreadful team. So, as somebody said earlier, the goals can get shared out more. At Spurs, Jose came in. He knew, I've got a crap defense. I've got no playmaker. Right, what am I going to do? If you look at it, Jose Mourinho's the one that converted Harry Kane from being a centre forward to a playmaker.
That's
right?
a fair assessment, to be fair.
Right. So all
Yeah.
of this praise that Harry Kane gets now for dropping deep and being a playmaker, Jose's the one that went, I need to do something here because my squad's shit. But I don't know what this conversation's got to do with Jose. My point
You
is,
brought it up.
we're looking. No, I brought him about 2 hours ago, mate. We're looking at Dominic Solanke, right? Dominic Solanke has had 1 good year in a 10-year career, right? If I'm going to be, that's probably a bit harsh. I'll take away the first 2 years of him being a teenager. Dominic Solanke's had 1 good year at a good standard, and then Spurs go, that's the guy we want. We're going to go and spend 55, 60 million on him. And then our fans go, oh, he's much better than X, much better than Y, much better than Z, right? This is what we do all the time, Arian.
But do you know why it is, Savva? Do you know why that is?
Hang on. We look at other players that have achieved or that are doing well elsewhere, and we automatically mock them, right? We do it. We're still doing it this year. We've still got fans looking at Man United and going, haha, they're in a mess. They're level in the bloody league with us. Our manager's a genius and a legend. They're shit. That's what our fans do, Arian. There is no sensible notion to go with these opinions. It's all, I can confidently say he's shit. Based on what? AC Milan just bought the bloke. AC Milan just bought the bloke.
AC Milan bought Emerson Royale.
Let me finish. He's already got 3 goals in 8 games, right? He's already got 3 in 8.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're going, I can confidently say this guy's shit. Just ignore it. You said just ignore his goal record. Let's just, as a striker.
Anthony scored 3 goals in a row in his Man United debut, and he's also scored 3 for Real Betis already.
I'm not talking about 3 in a row. I'm talking about Santiago Jimenez for the last 3-4 seasons has scored prolifically, and you say just ignore that. But if that
I'm not
was
saying
Solanke,
just ignore it. I'm not saying just ignore that. I'm
You
saying
did.
No. Here's what I did say. I said I've watched this guy enough across those brilliant seasons to know he's nothing special. He's not a special forward in
has
any
he got
capacity.
a good goal scoring record?
For Feyenoord, yeah.
When you say for Feyenoord,
What does
that mean?
What does that mean?
I'll tell you,
What
because
does
he's
that
not.
mean?
If we had bought him, he would not have 3 goals by now.
Oh, don't be so.
Get off
Easily.
it.
Easily.
Nah, this is mental.
He wouldn't have 3. He wouldn't have 3. Can't hack him in the Premier League. That guy's shit. And I really hope a team in the Premier League buys him because I know this guy has no outstanding capacity.
Sorry,
But yes, Solanke, who's had 1 good year, has.
Outstanding? No, but he's better all around than Jimenez. And there's nothing.
So, okay, can I ask
there
you
is
then?
nothing
Why is his goal
Santiago
record?
Jimenez is better
Why
at
is
than
his
Dominic
goal
Solanke.
record nowhere near as good? Why is his goal record nowhere near as
He
good?
plays in a far easier league for the best team in the league at that time. Feyenoord and the Slot were probably the best team in the Netherlands.
I love this argument.
Yeah.
Another one who you don't watch other leagues, do you? I can tell straight away.
Absolutely,
This is always the argument. This is always the
I
argument.
do.
The other leagues.
It's-
This is
Well,
like when
Premier
Premier
League
tells
is
me
this-
this is
Savva.
the most competitive in
Savva.
England.
In fact, when you asked me about Evan Nilsson, I was very happy to talk about it because I watched a lot of Porto because I'm Iranian and I used to watch a lot of Taremi. And sometimes he wouldn't play, and he'd play in the front 2 with Evan Nilsson. Sometimes Evan Nilsson would play instead of him. I think Evan Nilsson is a tidy player because I've seen him play. So I did not think Evan Nilsson was a bad signing at all. But
You don't think he would have 3 league goals in 27 league
You
games?
don't believe that.
No.
You don't
I
believe that.
Oh, you
sincerely
can't
believe
believe
that.
that at all.
I think he would be as disastrous a signing as Vincent Janssen. He would be.
Oh,
You'd be
what
on
are
that.
we-
He would
what
be
are we
that level
doing?
of shit.
What
That
are we
level of
doing
shit.
here? This is
Absolutely.
ridiculous. No wonder you rate Ange.
Yeah.
This is
Maybe
mental.
not.
Like, this is.
But I'll tell you, if we and I would not have changed that prediction had we signed him. I wouldn't defend him. This guy, when we were linked with him, I was so pissed off to see so many of the reliable journalists say we're in for him, and as we're having.
But you haven't actually given an actual reason why he's so bad. Why is he so bad? Can you give me 3
Can you
points?
tell me what he's good at?
He's a goal scorer.
He scores goals.
He's as much of a goal
scorer.
scorer. He's as much of the same people who would say he's a goal scorer are the same people who are saying Johnson's a shit winger, even though he's our top goal scorer.
In terms of Johnson and Jimenez aren't in an 11 to do the same job, Arian.
Yeah.
My point is this guy is only a good goal scorer with a good goal record because he was a striker for the best build-up team in the league, and he would score tons of scrappy tapping goals.
Why is it every time a striker does well? Why is it every time a striker does well? Who was it that came on here the other day and told me, oh, well, the only reason Haaland scores all these goals, he plays for City, forgetting all the other teams he's played for?
You know,
hang on. Isn't it crazy that Santiago Jimenez has worked his way from Mexico over to Holland, now to Italy for a top club?
I'm not discrediting him for being a good. I'm sure he's a great footballer.
Arian
good for him.
Wouldn't have 3 goals.
You said he was shit a minute ago.
No, I'm saying great for him. He worked hard in his life. He's not signed for AC Milan. He's a shit footballer in terms at the top level. That's it.
If he's so I'll be honest. I'm really confused. You haven't given me 1 point why he's crap. Give me.
He's not an outstanding finisher. He's not an outstanding.
He
finisher.
scores.
He's not an outstanding. He has a lot of good chances.
Goals.
He's not an outstanding. He's not incredible hold up. His hold up play is not great. His all around link up play is not that great. He's not incredibly good in the air. He's not particularly good at anything.
Oh God!
Apart from scoring goals.
Apart from scoring goals
it?
for the best team in the league, like he's not gonna have
the
goal scoring record he has at Feyenoord. He's never replicating in Serie A.
Everyone would score loads and loads of goals if it was that simple.
Sure.
But you said earlier, right? Spurs have scored the second most amount of goals in the Premier League, right?
Savva.
So
Soldado scored.
Let me finish.
Soldado was the third highest goal scorer in the league.
Let me finish. Right? Let me finish because this is where you're disingenuous, right? Your argument earlier was we play good football under Ange. We're the second or third highest scorers under Ange. We create chances under Ange, right? Why has Dominic Solanke only scored 7 league goals then?
Bingo.
He's I told you his finishing has not been up to par this season. I told you that.
What do you mean this season? Every season. He's had one good
He's
year.
had one season for us.
No. Try expanding that thought. He's had one good year as a footballer.
Last season he scored 19. The 2 other years he was in the championship, and in the championship he scored 30.
Yes, the champion. Oh my! What are we?
I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is he's had this year under Ange. He's had without his scoring. He's influenced the game even when he hasn't scored very well.
Which game? When?
Which game? I'll have to hang on. It'll come to me. It'll come to me if I see the games just on my phone. Just give me a second. I can tell you which games easily. It's not a problem. Brentford when Madison scored 2. That is one game that I remembered. When we played Brentford and we won. That was one game that I thought he played very well in. Let me look up the fixture list now so I can just see it in front of me. Okay.
Solanke's best performance. Yeah. Solanke's best performance for us was at home to Villa.
At home to Villa, he was very good as well, where he scored.
But are we judging a player now? Are we judging a player now based on 1 or 2 good games that now?
No. Here's what I'm telling you. Okay, I think so. Like this got off the rails very quickly. First of all, Solanke's a decent player. He's by no means like the best forward in the league or close to it. I think he's a decent player. I think he works for the system. I think his running off the ball, his pressing. We all know he's one of the hardest workers in the league in terms of pressing and running off the ball. That's probably the biggest reason as to why we signed him. Okay, I don't think he's exceptional in the box in terms of finishing. You said he's not a natural finisher, Savva. I agree with that. I think his link-up play, with his back to goal, I think he's had some of his best moments for Spurs. That, I think, is his strengths, okay? And somebody brought up Santiago Jimenez, and I just said Santiago Jimenez is shit. He's not good at anything. There's not one thing Santiago Jimenez is better at than Solanke.
Hang on. You can't keep saying that. He scores goals. This is insane.
Soldado scored goals in La Liga. We brought him in. Janssen was banging goals in the Eredivisie, and we brought him in. That doesn't always translate.
Arian, you don't understand the word context, do you? Because, again, Soldado, if we want to use Soldado played up front in Spain in a team that played 4-4-2, and he had a big man that flicked the ball onto him, and he was a goal scorer. When he came to Tottenham Hotspur,
2 wingers that went wide, Sav, and went down the line and pulled it back, and what's his name, played inverted with Townsend and Lennon, so totally closed off the crosses for Soldado, and that's why it didn't work for him.
That's my point. That's my point I'm trying to get at. My point I'm trying to get at is, it's easy to say he was good there, he did crap here. Right? We heard all this before. Remember, somebody said that they wouldn't sign Harry Redknapp said he wouldn't sign Luis Suarez because he wouldn't cut it in the Premier League. He only scored goals in Holland, which is what you just said. Luis Suarez was amazing, right?
There's players that that happens.
Hang on. It does happen. But the thing is, I'm going to show you something, right? Look how you are just absolutely belittling a bloke that in 105 games scored 65 goals, scoring in the Champions League. He scored a number of goals as well.
He's got 2 in Serie A already.
Yeah.
Right, he's got 2 in 4 in Serie A already. And your answer is, what's he good at? He's a goal scorer.
If he replicates that goal scoring form from Feyenoord in the Serie A, I will change my name.
But he's already started that.
Isn't 2 in 4 good so far?
I told you, Anthony scored 3 goals on his Premier League debut. He scored 2 goals for Real Betis. I don't think we're going to line up and say these players are phenomenal either. Some players have these starts.
Anthony's a technically good player.
Oh my God! If you're defending Anthony, just stop.
No, I'm not defending Anthony.
Oh my God! Yeah, Anthony
he's gone into.
Have you seen what he's been doing?
Arian, hang on. No, sorry, everyone. Sorry, I've got to absolutely. I'm sorry. You're about to hear a severe cooking session right now.
Oh, I'm sure I am. Anthony, from the guy who's about to defend Anthony.
Do you know what annoys me, Arian? I can tell 100% you're on X, aren't you, or Twitter, wherever it is now.
Sure. Yes.
And I bet you follow all of those same people that spout the same nonsense on there, because you say very similar things to what a lot of these ones that have a picture of a football player on. No disrespect to you, but you do. Everything you say. Anthony is a very, very good technical football player that went to Man United as a kid. I think he went there at 21, 22. Okay. And they had no idea on what to do with him. He played, and now he's gone to Real Betis, who in La Liga have one of the most technical football players in there, in Isco, who's been brilliant for them, by the way. And he has found a way to score goals for them. The fact is this is what annoys me, because he went. But do you know what it is? Is because Anthony went to Man United, and there's all the same accounts do the thing with a fidget spinner nonsense. It's ridiculous. Watch Anthony play football at Real Betis, and I'll tell you now that is the player Man United wanted to buy.
Okay, let me tell you something. Anthony,
go on, please.
At Ajax, I did not rate him at Ajax. Even
though hold on. Percy. Now he's talking about Ajax, and I know he doesn't watch Ajax because I watched Anthony for years.
I know you do.
Anthony, every week.
Good for you.
Anthony was one of the best talents that Ajax.
Your opinions, Danny. I've known you long enough to know that your opinions are
absolute bullshit. No. You don't have any context.
I didn't rate him. Literally, it costs $5 in America to watch every Eredivisie game.
And for you to even say you should do with anything means you never watched him in the first place.
It's
you didn't watch him. You have no idea.
I did.
No, you didn't. Don't even try lying. Look, you're lying.
Danny, it'd be easier to rate him if I didn't, because he had goals. He had all the cards on FIFA. Everything, all these players. It'd be much easier.
What are you talking about FIFA for?
That's my point. My point is, if I did not watch him, it would be so easy for me to rate him, because I could say, look at this guy. He has all the accolades.
Okay, let's calm down. Let's calm down.
The reason I can tell you, the reason I can tell you with no doubt in my mind that I did not rate Anthony one bit when I saw him is because he was the most wasteful, slow player on the fucking football. I've seen him every time. He was so wasteful. When he had the ball, when he would receive a pass, he would do a fucking useless trick, a useless spin. He would not attack the space. And I knew in the Premier League with the intensity that would never work. And when Man United signed him, I would tell all my friends, I play soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I would tell them this guy's shit.
Facts will dispel your myth, my friend. Facts will
Dispel my myth.
Because cool. How many goal contributions did Anthony have?
Oh, he had many. He had it was in the 20s every season.
He had 46 in 82, and you said this player's crap.
Yes, and I did, and I was right. And the same thing is what I'm saying about Santiago Jimenez. And because when I watch players, Ajax again were the best team in the Eredivisie.
He's crap.
Ajax were the best team in the Eredivisie. Ajax were the best team in the Eredivisie at the time.
Brennan Johnson's sensational, but we dismiss.
Waste that time and get away with it. He was a player on the ball.
What are we doing here?
I didn't get carried away by some stupid goal contributions. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, one at a time. Well, no, guys, stop that. Guy, Perchy and Lubo, sorry, stop that. Arian's talking and you're both having a private conversation over him. That ain't cool. Sorry, guys. Come on, man.
Yeah, I want to hear what Arian's saying.
That's not cool. I don't agree with Arian, but that's not cool.
The same way that you're telling me he had 40-something goal contributions at Ajax, and I would say he's shit, and I was completely right to do so because he's been absolutely woeful in the Premier League.
Can I ask you something?
That's what I'm saying about
Premier League.
That's what I'm saying.
Never ready for the
He was not ready for anything besides being at Ajax when they're the best team.
No.
He wasn't
Okay, Arian,
calm
this down. Okay, calm this down. I just want to put, and again, this is probably the benefit of being a bit older, right? This is the benefit of being a bit older. Sometimes players don't work in certain teams at certain times, right? Now, the problem we seem to have is anytime a player doesn't work in the Premier League for whatever reason, straight away we go, oh, it's the Premier League's the greatest league in the world. They can't hack it over here. Yeah. Now, that's fine, but it all depends on what team you join at what time. Now, if we look at Man United, Arian, can anyone really name a player that they've signed in the last 4 years, 5 years?
Sure.
Okay, Aaron. So that's the point. Now, imagine, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. For me, I think Anthony is still young enough that he can get his career back on track. But I think being at Man United has ruined him. Same with Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho going to Man United, right? Anthony Martial, Jadon Sancho, right? All of these players keep going to Man United where they've done well, keep not doing well, and we all go, oh, they're shit in the Premier League. Couldn't it just be that maybe it's the club they go to, it's the managers they play for, and it's the system? Just devil's advocate. He could be shit. He could be. But what I saw of him at Ajax, he was exciting. He was very exciting. He got a lot of goal contributions.
He was raw.
Right?
He was raw. But
he was very raw. It's the same with, look at Tell, right? Tell's going to be our version of one of these. If we sign Tell, right, Matisse Tell, we can turn around and go, he's raw, there's talent there, but if he doesn't pull up trees in 1 year, everyone will go, see, he's shit, he can't handle the Premier League.
I don't think it's all that, because there's players that I rate that have gone to Man United that I still rate. I think Joshua Zirkzee is a very good player, actually. And I think Man United was a wrong destination. They're playing the wrong system, and I think
you have to use that same argument for Anthony because it's
I don't, because I didn't rate Anthony to begin with. I rated Joshua Zirkzee.
I want to say something on this subject because it relates to young players, and you know me, I've got a big soft spot for the youth. That's what I did. But there was a player at Ajax who I watched him quite a lot, and I said to myself, "This is a player. This is a real player. I would love Spurs to bring him in. I really would." And his name was Donny van der Beek. He was sensational. Not sensational. He was very, very good. I watched him go away to Juventus and shit on Juventus. I saw him go to the Bernabeu with Ajax and they took it to Real Madrid. And that's how they got to the semi-final. That Ajax group of players, and De Ligt as well. De Ligt, he's another one in that squad. When De Ligt went to Juve, I thought, do you know what? Stay at Ajax a bit more, man. And I felt the same with Donny van der Beek. I thought, just stay there.
You're running of them left too early.
Right, Danny. I think, so 4 years later, Ajax is a team, I don't watch them a lot, but if they're on TV and it happens to be there, I'll watch them because for me, I know a lot about Ajax's history. Especially when it comes to youth. They constantly have a conveyor belt of young players that come through. For me, Anthony at Ajax was sick. Anthony at Ajax was fucking brilliant. Now, what happened to Man United? I've got no idea.
Can I just add to that, Sel? Can I just add to
let
that
me finish my point and then add to it. Yeah, 100%. At Ajax, at Man United, I watched him and I said, this isn't the player I saw at Ajax. But Anthony also did it in Europe. Just like Donny van der Beek did it in the Champions League for Ajax and De Link did it in the Champions League for Ajax. How can they go to Man United and be shit? Man United right now, the club's in crisis. I think any young talent that goes there that hasn't got any English experience, I think it's a big risk. I was stunned to see how bad Anthony was. It wasn't even, it was like night and day. It wasn't even close. Now he's gone to Spain. He's doing all right. So I'm thinking, is the Spanish league easier? Well, it can't be because Spanish teams dominate a lot of European trophies. It can't be easier. So what is it? I'm now thinking, and I'm only talking about Anthony. I think Man United was a bad move for him for many reasons.
Yeah, 100%.
Because at Ajax, I agree with you, Danny. At Ajax, he was a top player.
Look,
just
to add to that, right? At Ajax, right?
Anthony needs to do it now for a couple of years.
Anthony, right? I watched his progress over the years that he was at Ajax, right? In the beginning, you could see he had ability, he had talent, right? His second season, right? He started stepping up, and what he was like, sometimes in games he would go completely missing, and you'd be like non-existent, right? But other games, he would rip a team apart, like literally rip a team apart. Then what happened towards the end of his Ajax career, they started playing him as a striker, right? And he was just killing it. Like he was still raw because he did have games where he would go missing. But when he turned up, he fucking turned up. Like he was brilliant. He would score long range shots. He would do skills. He was quick. No one could stop him. Even in Champions League, he was doing good things. And as soon as I said to people when there was that links to Man United, I said it's the wrong thing to do because he's not mature enough yet, and he's still too raw. He goes to Man United. The only reason he's going there is for the money, for the big bucks, which is what Jadon Sancho went there for, which is what a lot of these players do. They see Man United, they see the red signs, and that's it. They go, right? The problem, just like Memphis Depay did when he left, right? Memphis Depay, when he was at PSV, right? There was Real Madrid after him, Bayern Munich after him, Man United after him, and he went because Man United paid him the most money, right? And Ferguson saw talent. He was destroying the Dutch league, absolutely destroying it, right? But again, he was another player that went too soon. I said Anthony needed another 2 years at least, and then go to another club, but not at the level of Man United because there's way too much pressure for a kid who's earning stupid money, right? It gets to their head, and that's what happened to him. And also the fact that Man United, they're in an absolute shambolic mess, mess. So it's impossible. But he was a very good player when he turned on.
You look at Dutch players. It's very hit and miss. You've got a lot of players that have come through and done well here. You know, people like Van Nistelrooy. What a fantastic goal scoring record he had.
Luis Suarez, one of the best strikers of our generation.
We had three players that came from, that grew up at Ajax in Poch's team, didn't we? You know, So it does work. Janssen, unfortunately, was a failure. Van der Beek, he killed us at our ground, didn't he, in the first leg still?
Van der Beek was a top player at Ajax. Top player.
He was terrific. He went to the wrong club, and they didn't give him a chance. You know, it's horses for courses. You know, this is why an agent is so important to these players, because an agent's got to know his football, and he's got to know where he's putting his player next.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be a real career development progression for each of these players. You know, normally it's a lot of these agents, unfortunately, will stick him in, and money, unfortunately, is the be all and end all.
Yeah, if I can, right? I think when you look at players, the better players out there currently, right? Those who are not maybe. How should I put it, right? Okay, let me give you an example. For example, Haaland, right? I think his career has been manufactured from the start by his father, right? And he's been progressing through the ranks rather than going straight from Norway, right?
Example,
he started playing to England, right? He went from Norway to Austria to Germany to England, right? And right now he's a fully developed player who went through the levels, right?
Yeah.
And right now he's killing it, right? If you look at Bellingham, right? Bellingham probably when he was rising, I think there would be a team like Spurs or someone else who would buy him, right? I don't remember if there were rumors when he was moving to Borussia, right? But the fact that he went to Borussia Dortmund and then they brought him in from that like championship level to they gave him an opportunity to grow, right? Whereas I think some of those like English teams, especially the big six, they have like, for me, if you are too young and you are immature, right? For me, moving to a big six club is a bit of a career killer, right? Because there is too much of a pressure for big six clubs to perform consistently well, where you don't give enough chances to those young players, right? You don't develop them gradually. You don't give them enough game time, right? It's either you sink or swim. And I think this is the issue with players like Anthony, right? I think Anthony at Ajax was a really exciting talent, right? And when United signed him, I was like baffled by the money, right? Because Ajax completely skinned them in terms of like
Oh,
the
yeah, he was never worth that.
Yeah,
He
80
was
million for
never
that, right?
worth that.
Yeah, never worth it, right? But I don't think any 20-year-old or 19-year-old, other than like some exceptional talents, is worth 80 million pounds. Let's be honest about it, right? But for me, it was a bit of a career killer, right? And unfortunately, he was thrown at the deep end and he sank, right? He didn't swim. So that's how I look at it, right? And I think that there will be similar things with some of our youngsters, right? I actually think that, ironically, for like Bergvall and Gray, the fact that they are playing as much as they are this season, right? I know we struggle as a fan base and as a club because we are 13th, right? But for their development, I actually think it's better as if they were sitting in a fully healthy team, getting like fringe minutes here and there, right? So,
Mikhail, do you know what half the problem as well? I think people need. By the way, we will be going for 11 more minutes. We're ending at 10:30, people. Actually, before I go on to this point, I should do these. Big up to Totspur63, who just put in a super chat. Thank you very much, Totspur63. Whoever you are, thank you. And you've also become a channel member. What a wise decision. As Arian said, I'm a very intelligent man, so everyone should become a member of my show. Thank you very much. Thank you, Arian, for the plug. Big up to Tony Rodriguez, who has been a member for 18 months. He was one of my original members. Said AZ Alkmaar 3, Spurs 2. Let's hope that that's not correct. And Artis as well has come back and said, under Glasner, Mateta is better than Solanke. Absolutely is. Absolutely is. And Mateta cost 11 million euros. So when people say, who are you getting for the 55, 60 million played for Solanke?
No, I wasn't saying you're crazy. I was just asking. I was just genuinely asking.
No, I know, but I'm not just you, by the way. It's not just you. Guys, I just want to say for the conversation we were just having, I think part of the problem in world football now is, one, clubs know they can absolutely selling clubs can hold buying clubs to a ransom, right? And the problem is, I think there's such little talent in the world right now. And I know this is only my theory. I think there's such little talent in the world of football now that what happens is whenever you get an 18, 19-year-old that has a half-decent season, has 5 good games, you have a striker who scores 10 goals in 10 games at the end of the season, the whole world goes, oh, my God, have you seen X, Y, Z? And then everyone goes, well, hang on, they're bidding for him. We're going to bid for him. Yeah. And teams like Ajax, right? Teams like Shakhtar Donetsk. You look at Mudryk as an example. Very talented footballer. I think
Mudryk was a decent
right?
Yeah, I rated Mudryk.
Very talented player, but the club went, fine, if you want him, now we're forgetting what's best for these kids, what's best for their development. If you want him, you've got to pay 70, 80 million. And because there's such little talent around the world, everyone's going, fuck, shit.
Exactly this.
Go and buy. And the problem is, once those players come to a team, and then look at the similarities between Anthony and Mudryk, for example. Both of them in and out of a team. Both of them managers that are constantly chopping and changing. Both of them in clubs that have been really unsettled for the last 3 years. Now, if you had taken Mudryk or Anthony, I'm just using for an example, I'm not backing any of them. If you had taken them and put them in Pep Guardiola's Man City 2 years ago and said, Pep, develop Anthony, develop Mudryk, right? Pep Guardiola would have gone, I'll develop them. I'll get them in gradually, right? But the problem is, if Man United spend £90 million on a player, football fans, this is where we're all a bit dumb, by the way, all of us. This is where all football fans, where we're all very simple. We all go, but he's 90 million, he must be amazing, right? And Anthony's sitting there as a young kid going, hang on. I haven't.
Stelios asked me earlier today why Ange hasn't played Archie Gray in midfield.
It puts
yet.
pressure on the kids as well. Like it puts pressure on the players, so much pressure because they've come in on such a big transfer, and if they don't, and also the problem with modern football is that we have social media now. 20 years ago, we didn't have social media, so players didn't get like absolutely shat on if they had a bad game. Right nowadays, they get cursed, they get everything. I mean, some of them have to come off. Yeah, some of them have to come off Twitter, and it really does affect people's mental health. Like these players, they are humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, but Danny,
there's abuse thrown at them all the time.
There's also a chain though, because back then they weren't on 100 grand a week. Some of these kids are on 200 grand a week.
That's true.
Fans weren't paying 80 quid a week to watch some of the crap that we've watched back then. So fans pay more, so they demand more. Players get paid more, so we expect more. So when it doesn't deliver, there's a lot of anger, and then they get the backlash. So there is a bit of a chain there as well.
It's sad.
The other important point.
It is sad. It is sad. It is
sad the way football's developed.
The other important, really relevant point is that the money in the Premier League pretty much dwarfs every other league.
Yeah.
So the European clubs, most of them don't have money at the moment since COVID. So the European clubs, when a Premier League club comes, they rub their hands, they say, "Brilliant, we smash the price up."
Inflation brings the price up for the players.
Sure,
as well.
always.
Sure.
Mudryk,
I mean,
80 million for Mudryk, 80 for Anthony, 85 for Darwin Núñez. I mean, they're mad money.
I mean, look, we paid 65 million for Solanke.
70 for Højlund.
Yeah.
Look, out of all the like barring Holland, and I feel like everyone knows that transfer's a little shady. Like it was, they apparently paid only 50 million.
Like Mikkelsen.
Besides Holland, though, I think every other top 6 striker signing has been horrible. I think Solanke's got to be like the second best, because what is it? Arsenal's is Havertz for 65 million.
Ollie Watkins is a better striker than Solanke.
I'm not talking about. I'm saying big 6. I'm saying in the big 6. In the big 6, besides Holland, every single other striker.
Are we still talking about us being in the big 6? Are we still doing this?
Is that happening?
You know what I'm talking about. All right, season.
I do, but it's convenient.
Look, Savva, no, we are in the big 6. One season.
I'll tell you what then, Arian. So if we're in the big 6, you must admit that Ange is absolutely shocking because we're 13th.
We've had a shocking season.
Just saying.
Arian,
we've had a shocking season.
Arian, last 25 years, work out the big 6, how many trophies they've won.
Well, the media, hold on 1 minute. To be fair to Arian, the media and Sky do put Spurs in the big 6. They do.
Still, it's a big fight.
What I was referring to anyway wasn't the top 6 or the top.
I don't agree with Sky, by the way, but they do.
Okay, I was saying big 6 because I was just trying to run through the list, and the reason I said big 6 is because financially we're still the big 6. Financially, we're still the big 6. Okay,
right.
So,
but Arian, football. What's football about? It's not
guys, you are missing.
Can we just get to the actual point?
No,
my point is, if you look, I was just making a comparison.
Yeah,
transfers of the big 6 signings for the striker position. Besides Holland, which obviously has been incredible, you've got Højlund and Xerxes. I think Xerxes is a good player, but he's just not the player that Man United needed. Right. And then you've got for Chelsea, Nicholas Jackson and
who's done better than Solanke. Yep.
And I said Nicholas Jackson's a good player. I rate Jackson. I rate Jackson.
They signed Nkunku
is shit. Danny, do you remember when I told you Nkunku was a dud?
Nkunku is not a striker.
I did tell him Nkunku was a fucking dud. I said he's shit. And before
so far, you've got Haaland, you've got Jackson.
Yeah, and then Havertz for Arsenal.
Havertz is better than Solanke.
Yeah, Havertz is.
Okay.
But Arian, but again, this is the problem. You see. Okay, but Aaron, this is the problem. You see, Kai Havertz plays week in, week out for a team that have finished second in the Premier League table, and he plays nearly every game in different positions for them. Right? He scored more goals than Dominic Solanke. So, on what are you basing that Dominic Solanke's a better signing than Havertz?
15 and 34, by the way. 15 and 34 for Havertz this season, just so you know.
I think Jota's been a good signing for Liverpool. Is he a striker, Jota?
An excellent signing.
Jota's like a winger, striker, hybrid kind of play. When I was, with Jota, I was so upset when he went to Liverpool.
Gakpo's been playing as a 9 for Liverpool, isn't he?
No, Diaz. It's Diaz usually.
Or is it Diaz? I know that he's
Diaz
changed,
plays
don't they?
He's desperately
their
trying to
9
put
signing was
Solanke up there with these players when he's not. That's the problem. He's not. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and die on a hill for Kai Havertz, but Kai Havertz has had a very good year last year for Arsenal as they finished second, 1 game away from winning the title. He had a brilliant goals and assist ratio for Arsenal.
Yeah, but they were also second because of him, right? Because
he's not a striker.
He's not a centre forward, Sav. He's not a centre forward.
He's not a centre forward, is he?
Havertz is what's holding Arsenal back.
Hang on. Arian used him as a centre forward, not me, right?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
He's played for Arsenal, right? He's played a lot of his games as a 9, a false 9, whatever it may be. And his goal and assist ratio is very good.
Arsenal's striker is Jesus. Jesus is their striker, but he's just injured all the time.
But it's not. Even when Jesus has been fit, Havertz has been starting with Martinelli and Saka. Right?
Look,
his ratio is very good.
Can I ask a question?
Hang on. But hang on. Every time we say someone's goals and assists are good, you seem to just completely ignore that. But Solanke's up there. I don't understand what you're judging these players on.
I'm not saying up there. Do you think if Arsenal had signed Solanke instead, that he would have less goals than Kai Havertz right now?
No, we'd all be laughing, saying they've spent £70 million on him. What are they doing? We'd all be doing that.
But that's not what I asked.
I don't know. Arsenal's XG is very high.
So was ours still. So was ours.
When we played
Kai
Arsenal,
Havertz has underperformed his XG.
When we played Arsenal created a ton of chances. They couldn't put enough in the back of the net. Arsenal crying out for a striker. They create a hell of a lot.
But still, they ain't signing a Solanke, are they really?
They're not signing anyone. True.
But my point is, if they're going to go and spend £60-70 million, they'll sign a Victor Gyökeres if they go and get someone in, or a Sesko.
I think Arsenal this summer are going to put a massive bid for Isak. I think they're going to go 90 million something.
Isak as well. You can put him in the conversation as well. But my point is when I just
they will
think
buy Sesko, in my opinion.
I think they'll get Sesko probably. But anyway, but my point is here, I don't get.
Not bad.
No, but what has Solanke done that puts him into the echelons of these other clubs?
Yeah. What echelon do you think I'm putting him in?
No, but here, Arian, my argument would be
the best signing of the top 6
Okay,
clubs.
and from that argument, Arian, any of the other top 6 sides, we use the big 6 thing that you're saying.
Yeah.
Who of them are signing Solanke?
Who of them would have signed Solanke?
Yeah.
If they were to, who would they have? Any of the other 5 teams in that top 6? Who signed Solanke?
Here's what I'm saying. I'll say this. I think
simple.
But no, because I don't know. I don't understand your question, so I'm going to answer it.
It's a really simple question. Of the top 6, who would sign Dominic Solanke? It's a very simple question.
If they needed a striker?
Yeah. They all needed a striker. Sign him?
No one signed him. They've all needed a striker in the last few years. None of them have signed him. We signed him.
Because there's so many.
What does that tell you?
But there's so many. No, that doesn't tell me anything. None of them have signed Victor Gyökeres either. So does that mean he's shit now?
He'll get signed in the summer, though.
Yeah, but Victor Gyökeres is 27 years of age.
Yeah.
None of them signed Chris Wood either. And you just said you'd take Chris Wood over Solanke.
No, I said he's a better. Hang on, Paul. Don't misrepresent what I said. I said he's a better goal scorer.
You're saying because 5 total clubs, 4 really, because Man City were always going to go for someone like Haaland. 4 clubs didn't sign this one player, so that means that this player is
not
no
why.
good.
Would they have him in their club right now?
Yes.
Which club?
I think Arsenal would take Solanke. I think Arsenal
would
take
take
him.
Does
I think
Solanke make
Liverpool would
Arsenal
use Solanke
better?
right now. I think
He'd probably score
don't
more
think-
goals
I
because they've
don't
got
think
better
Arsenal-
wingers than us.
I don't think.
Arsenal
Why
don't
would
want
they?
Solanke.
I
Does
think
Solanke take
he's
them
not-
the next level?
He's not Arsenal
Solanke
level.
does.
No.
take
He
them to the next
doesn't
level.
I
take
think
them
we've
to
got
the
to
next
remember,
level.
guys, we're not on
But it's
the
not their level, but compared to what they've got, though, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
think he
but
gets
guys,
them
this is
any
what
better.
this is what we do as Spurs fans. These clubs don't buy crap players like Solanke. Crap's harsh. They don't buy average players like Solanke because they've got ambitions to win things,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to go and spend 55, 60 million on Dominic Solanke.
And
For a
who are they
reason.
going to spend it on?
Mate, you watch. I bet you when Liverpool went and bought a whole concoction of players, didn't
Yeah.
they? Who are all better than Solanke.
They bought the
right?
they bought the famously great Darwin Nunez for 100 million.
Sure. Yeah, but do you know the funny thing is, Aaron, isn't it funny that of all of Liverpool's 5 or 6 forwards, you've honed in on the one that didn't work? Isn't it funny? You didn't
Diaz
go
hasn't
to
been that great either. Diaz has
Oh,
had a couple
oh,
of
Oh,
Whoa,
no
Dad.
way. Are you
Get
having a
down.
laugh?
No,
No,
See,
this is-
no.
this
Diaz
is
hasn't
non-
been good in 2025. He had a very
Sorry,
rough
who?
start.
Joking.
Luis
Sorry.
Diaz.
Are you
You're having me
joking?
on
This is Ian. You see what I mean? Now this is
A
where
lot of you, no, you guys are really honed in on the names, and it's very surprising because
Oh my God.
Diaz hasn't been good in 2025. He hasn't.
Are
He's not been
you-
good in
Hang on,
2025.
he scored. Hang on, I've just got it here. He scored. He's got 16 goal contributions in 38 games in this
He's
season.
got 9 goals
What's
in the
that?
Premier League.
Huh?
And 3 assists. It's more than. Oh god.
He had a,
Sorry,
like I
Li-
said,
Liverpool,
very
Liverpool
good.
are about to win the Premier League, and Diaz is their
What are we
left-sided
doing here?
forward.
yeah.
what is happening?
Perchy,
This-
say it.
Relative
Say
to
it,
what,
Perchy.
relative to the other talent Liverpool have,
Say it,
Diaz is
Perchy.
not towards the top. I would take.
If you said Nunez, I
Yeah.
maybe could have said, all right.
no,
okay, he's
Nunes
not
is
had a-
easy. Nunes, I think none of us would take Nunes.
Do you know
for
what? Do
free.
you know what? Do you know what's quite tragic? You see, Solanke, when we had Kane and Son under Poch, under Conte, and under what's his name, Mourinho, Solanke would have made sense to come off the bench, innit? That's the kind of play. Like, do you know what? That's not a bad backup.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a bad cover to have. But what we've done now is we've made him our main guy.
Look,
And
Can I
it's
just
like,
go
what-
back
it's
on
a
one
big-
thing? The
it's a
Luis
big
Diaz
drop-off.
one really it's rattled me. I'll be honest, that one's rattled me. Because
Let it go, man. Let it go. Let it go.
No, because
What are we
you said
doing
this
here?
season you said this season he's not been good.
I didn't say this season. I said in
Currently,
2025. That's what I said.
He's on course this season to have his best ever season.
What? Okay.
Statistically?
You are again,
And he's
Perchy,
gonna win a Premier League
Perchy,
title.
maybe you need to turn the volume up on that earbud in your ear because I said in 2025. I said in 2025.
We just got into
We're
2
talking
months.
about
It's
season.
March.
This is you-
It's 3 months of poor form.
we've just
Okay,
got
so what's
into
Solanke
2
done in 3 months? What's Solanke done in
January
3
and
months?
February.
Been injured.
We've only just got into March.
Yeah,
It's not 3
exactly.
months.
He's been injured. He's done nothing.
Sure,
Hang on,
but
so
I'm talking about
you're-
performance levels.
Ariane, you're
Diaz has done
judging a-
nothing on the pitch.
Ariane, you're judging a player on a 6th of a calendar year. 2
I'm not-
months.
Look, you misconstrue what I said.
I didn't
Do you know,
misconstrue it.
can I tell you what you don't understand, Aaron? This is where I think
Tell me what I
younger
don't
fans
understand.
don't get it.
Tell me.
What you don't understand is because you're looking at Luis Diaz and saying his goal output and assists haven't been amazing for the last 2 months, which is what you said, 2025.
Yes.
Watch how Liverpool have adapted how they play with Diaz and Gakpo, right?
Okay.
Diaz has gone centrally with
Yeah.
Gakpo floating out wide. And what they're actually doing is letting Luis Diaz take defenders away and let Gakpo and Salah have
Right.
more room to score. So when you're going, what's he done in 2025? He's part of a team that don't lose games. He's first choice on the team sheet in the front 3 area.
Savva, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because you
Then
have
what are we-
now
then what are we doing?
told me, Savva, I really appreciate what you've just done there because you have now convinced me that a player who is a front line player can affect the game without scoring. Well done. Well done.
I mean, I know what he's
So
talking about,
thank you for that.
Solanke. Do you know what I
appreciate that.
find hilarious? This is,
Yeah.
you know, when we said at the beginning about these Spurs fans that can't seem to understand outside of Tottenham.
Rainrock.
We have Spurs fans like you going, Luis Diaz,
I
what?
didn't go Luis Diaz. I said he's not been good for
Hang on,
that.
let me finish. When I said Luis Diaz, right?
Yeah.
I said you've honed in on Darwin Núñez, the one player. By the way, Darwin Núñez is a very hit and miss footballer,
He's a
right?
shit footballer, is what he is.
No,
if we had Darwin, he's
again,
shit. He's
Arian,
shit.
stop. Arian,
I
stop.
won't-
Stop.
He's
Right?
shit.
Stop.
He's shit.
Arian,
But
stop.
he's shit.
Arian, stop. Right? Stop swearing for one, right? It's ridiculous when we just call players shit all over the place. It's really dumbing down the argument, right?
Yeah.
Darwin Núñez has a number of very good qualities. He is not a natural goal scorer, but he has a number of very good qualities. Now, is he ready to be Liverpool's main man? No, he's not. But if you look at his goal contributions for his time at Liverpool across all the competitions, right, it is very good, right? So when you say he's shit, he's shit, he's shit, he's shit, it just sounds really silly.
He is.
But
He is.
right,
Arian, can I ask you a question?
I
Can I
can't
ask you
do
a
this
question?
anymore. It's so
Arian,
childish.
Arian, I want to ask you a
wonder
question.
this is why you like Ange. Isn't it funny, right? Hang on, Stel, before you ask your question, you've rattled
Okay.
me now. I don't mind admitting it. Isn't it funny, right? Isn't it funny for someone that says such stupid stuff about people that have succeeded, right? When he talks about Ange, it doesn't matter what evidence you throw at him about how bad Ange is. Ange isn't bad. It's not Ange. But when he's talking about top players that are winning things at clubs every year, yeah, they're shit because I said it.
We haven't
Like-
spoken about managers yet. So if you want to compare, you're comparing apples to oranges, Savva.
Arian, I've got a question for you. I've got a
No,
question.
Arian, I'm not. I'm
Go
talking
ahead.
about. Hang on, Stel. I'm comparing standards, Arian. Right? You want standards when it comes to you want standards when it comes to certain things. When it comes to Ange, don't worry. Don't worry. You can just be
That's
rubbish
not, no,
and you'll
it's not
make
what I said.
excuses.
It's not what I said.
That's what
Arian?
you've been doing all show.
No, it's not.
That's what
Well,
you've done.
Arian, I want to ask you a
Go ahead,
question.
Please.
All right, next season.
I need to wrap up the show in a few minutes, by the way. I really do.
Yeah, cool. Well, Arian, when we start next season,
Yeah.
right, and we play with the front three,
Yeah.
who would you, if you had the choice, have as your starting left-sided forward in a front three? Werner, Odebert, Yang, or Luis Diaz?
Luis Diaz.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you've looked.
Arian,
Arian.
I just want to say one thing to you. All these players,
I rest my case.
all these players, Arian, that play at this level,
Yeah.
are quality players. They
After
are
all that.
Yeah.
good players. Not believe me, none of them are shit. They are
Everything's
top
relative.
players.
This notion just calling players
They are-
shit is
they are top
ridiculous.
players.
No, but because that's the point of reference. Yeah, all of them would make me look like I've never touched the football if they went one-on-one against me. For sure.
Can I just use
But-
can we use your argument that you said earlier, by the way, Aaron? This is what Ariane, that you said earlier that we can't judge Ange because we're not
That's not what I
we're
said.
not managers.
That's
Now
not what I
we
said.
can't, now you want to judge a football player.
No.
You're not
You're
a
misconstruing what I said. Here's what I said. Here's
You
what
can't be. That's
let me
being
tell
a
you. Let me tell you.
hypocrite.
Let me tell
He
you.
just said he'd have Diaz over all our left-sided players. Why are we carrying
I
on?
did just say that. So look, first
Why
of
are
all,
we carrying on?
the bar is so low at Spurs. First of all, Stel. All right.
Well, it is
So-
because you rate some
Alright.
really bad players. Yes.
But we're a big
Yes.
six
definitely,
club.
Savva.
But we're a big
Okay.
six club.
Financially, we are. Anyway,
Can I want to win the
let me
show.
say the thing you said about.
So we're a
okay,
big six business. We're a big six
Let me-
business.
Arian,
we are a
Arian,
big six
have
business.
the last say, then I'm ending the show. I've
phenomenal.
gone on way
When
too
I
long.
was
Go on.
saying that I wasn't saying we can't have opinions as fans. I went at Stelios directly because a lot of times he uses his coaching experience to say, whatever, something about midfield rotation or whatever. And I'm saying, how can you have a go at Ange's experience in Scotland? And then you can say here and say, oh, my coaching experience with whatever it is. I'm not very familiar with what you do, Stelios, but I know it's not something at the Premier League level where you're saying, whatever, this is my decision. So that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying you're not allowed to have opinions. And obviously, at the top level, every single Premier League footballer is somebody who will make me or anybody I've ever played with, even though I've played with ex-professionals, they would all look completely useless and as if they've never seen a football before if I went one-on-one against Darwin Núñez could go on his weak foot only, blindfolded, and make me look silly because that is the standard.
So he's not shit, is he? But listen,
He's shit relative to the Premier League.
no, he's not. No, he's not shit relative.
I just-
Sad, before you wrap it up, Sad, can I just say, hello, Angus is back. Delighted to see his name in the comments.
Look, I'm gonna end the show there, but I just want to let you know I've just done some manual calculation because again, Arian says a lot of things where he shoots from the hip, but without having any knowledge. Darwin Núñez in 2.5 seasons, 2 3/4 seasons for Liverpool, has 69 goal contributions across the Champions League, the Premier League, and the Cups. He has 69 goal contributions. He has started less than 50% of Liverpool's games and has 69 goal contributions in less than 3 seasons. So I can't have anyone sitting there going, shit. It's a childish...
You can. I'll tell you why.
Listen, let me finish.
Please.
It's a childish notion that is very silly when somebody is rattling in those stats across one of the best leagues in the world, the best European competition in the world, right? He has very good stats per minute as well. He starts less than 50% of games available for Liverpool and has one shy of 70 goal contributions in just under 3 seasons.
Okay.
That's not shit.
Let's look at his biggest sample size of goals, which was last year.
Hang on, let me finish. I was talking, right? That is not shit. That cannot be shit. You're talking about somebody playing at the highest level of football. That most players in the Premier League would die for those numbers over 3 seasons. But we've got one fan here who thinks Ange is amazing that says, shit, he's shit. Whilst bigging up Solanke, who's had 1 good year as a professional
Do you
footballer.
think Darwin Núñez is better than Dominic Solanke?
Yes, I would take Darwin Núñez over Dominic Solanke all day long.
I think that's insane. Darwin Núñez last year had 16.4 XG. He's underperformed it by 5.4.
Oh God, no, we're not doing the West European.
Okay,
Savva,
no,
Savva,
but it's a legitimate
I'm not 12.
statistic. It's okay. You can.
Savva.
Okay, but
Well, I'm not
Savva.
12. I don't do XG.
it's an
Silly.
understanding.
Savva, I know-
He's not clinical.
I know you're wrapping up the show.
And Solanke is clinical. And Solanke
More
is
clinical.
clinical.
More
Have you watched
clinical.
him this season? Have you
Yeah,
watched
and
him?
I've said several times that I agree with you in that he's not a natural finisher. But if Solanke's not clinical, Darwin Núñez couldn't hit a barn door.
Yeah, has 69 goal contributions in Europe's elite competitions.
Do you want to see how many big chances he's missed? Forget XG.
No.
'cause I know for some reason.
Arian,
But it's-
stop.
but it's-
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny?
The goalpost, mate.
Arian,
Yeah.
isn't it funny? Any player, particularly me and Perchy have mentioned today, that has good numbers for goals, you seem to want to deflect that to XG chances missed. But again,
No.
I'll bring this back.
I haven't
to
brought up
when-
XG until right now.
When we bring you stats and that data about Ange, you've got an excuse for everything. But when it's other players, you don't want to hear those reasons.
It's not, no,
Isn't that
because
funny?
there's context, Savva. Everything is contextual. I don't believe what I believe for no reason. I have context and reasons for what I believe. So I'm going to defend
You
anything I
genuinely
believe.
don't, mate. You
All right.
genuinely don't.
Savva.
You can believe that, but that's why I've come here with 6 people rattling at me for 3 something hours, and
Hey,
I'm
I
here
wasn't.
defending.
Come
No, I know. But my point is, I have
I was
very
quite
good
timid,
reasons to
be
believe
fair.
what I believe, and I'm gonna defend it against 6 people.
But
I'm
you
going
haven't
to.
defended the Ange thing once. You didn't have any good reason to believe what you believe with Ange, other
The
than
context of the season is that we've had a horrific injury crisis with
Well,
players
right.
who are
I'm
playing
ending
in
the show,
40, 50,
everyone.
60
Savva,
minutes,
one second, wait,
and
Savva,
that's why I believe
before you
it.
end it.
It's that simple.
Can't do it.
Wait,
I can't
before
do
you
it.
end it, okay? Because twice tonight, Ariane took these little mild swings at me, so I do want to push back on it.
Push.
Him saying twice tonight, Ange's coached here and there, but where have you coached? All I'll say is this. I've been to Carrington, I've been to London Coley, I've been to Hayland, I've been to Hotspur Way many a time over 12 years. I've been to Kirby, the training facility at Liverpool. I've been to Deportivo La Coruña. I've spent 3 weeks at Ajax. What I will say is this. I've seen and I've learned things that allows me to question and analyze and give a different alternative solution more than you. So that would be my reply. Okay?
You don't even
Doesn't
know what I do
mean
for a living.
doesn't mean I'm better than Ange. Doesn't mean
I know.
Ange has got more experience.
You
But
are.
what I've seen and
You are
learned,
better than Ange.
I think it puts me in a better position to challenge and question things from a tactical perspective, Ariane. So
Maybe.
that's my pushback to you. Okay.
Maybe, but
Well, if your argument is Ange has got more experience than me, I've got more experience than you.
okay. You've got more experience than me. Fine. But the
All
point I was making was you oftentimes used to ridicule Ange's experience and belittle his experience in Scotland and say he's out of his depth for the Premier League. And I was saying if he's
Yeah.
out of his depth, I'm not saying you're allowed to have the opinion. But what I'm saying is it doesn't make sense to me that if you can say he's out of his depth for the Premier League because he was in Scotland and Japan, and then say, well, he's doing this wrong, and I know that because I've coached. at
Okay,
this
so
level."
then,
That's
by
The same
that,
way you talked about Santiago Jimenez coming from the Netherlands to the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
You can delegitimize my opinion, but I'm not delegitimizing
I'm not.
other people's
I'm
experiences.
using your. I'm using
No,
your
you're not.
rationale back at you.
No,
you hate it.
No, I was saying. you can have
Ariane,
an
did
opinion,
you
but-
question Conte and Jose? Did you criticize them?
Not so much Jose, but Conte definitely.
But why would you criticize Conte when he's got vast more experience than you at some
No,
of the
see,
best
you're
clubs
not
in world
understanding what I'm
football?
saying, Stelios. I didn't
Oh,
belittle.
can we
No,
end
no,
this?
no, no.
This is-
You're
this
not
is-
understanding.
Continue on
because-
your channel. Continue on your
Please,
channel.
can you take this to someone
Go.
else's channel?
No.
This is-
All right, end it.
This is
Okay.
important.
I'm
No, this is
ending
important
it.
because this is because a lot of you. I'm not saying you're not allowed to have an opinion. What I was the
You
reason
can have
I
an
went
opinion,
at
but there's no
Stelios
evidence
directly.
behind it.
No. The reason I went at Stelios directly is because Stel would oftentimes belittle Ange's experience and then use his own. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't
You
have
can't-
any Premier League experience. He doesn't.
Okay, but then you can't belittle his Premier League experience and then use your non.
But I'm not saying my experience is better. What I'm saying is,
But you
Yeah, let
used.
him have
That's
it.
all I
I'm
was
not
saying.
experienced.
You delegitimized his
I wanna
experience and then used
stop.
your own.
I
You
really
can't
wanna
have it
stop.
both
yeah,
ways.
but that's
You
like
can't have
saying
it both ways,
that's
Stel.
like
You can't
saying
have it both ways.
that's
I'm
like
going to
saying a
mute
professor.
everyone. I'm going to mute everyone. I want to stop the show. This is the ramblings of no evidence. no
Ariane, I'll
facts.
see you on
This is all
Thursday when
just-
Jed Spence doesn't start.
If he
This is
doesn't
all-
start, I'll keep my word. I'm a man of my
I'll see you
word.
on Thursday
Just
when Jed Spence
feeling.
doesn't start. Then we'll talk about Ange.
Then we'll
This
talk
is
about Ange,
all
and I will
just
say Ange out.
feeling. I'm so bored of feelings over fact. So bored of it. Listen, I really appreciate everyone who came on tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you for all. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for everything. Aaron, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that you have got a very different view to many of us. Thank you for coming on and sticking up for yourself. Next time when you come on, hopefully we've got some evidence or facts. But thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Perchy, Mikal, Lubo, Danny, Stelios. Big up to myself. I am going to end it there. Thank you for everyone that liked, everyone that subscribed, all the super chats. As always, Ange out, Levy out, Enoch out, Scott Munn out, and who else? Lang out. But come on, you Spurs.